Good afternoon, everybody. How you doing? Welcome to Deconstructing Christianity. Where I am your coach, your host, Coach Rand. Today we'll be guiding you in our discussion concerning are we living in the end times? Oh my gosh, it's the end times. So we are streaming on YouTube, Facebook, and I'm getting ready to bring the TikTok one up for us to have our conversation today. Today we do have a hard stop. We have a hard stop today. Can't go past a certain time frame. So we got to get it in where it fits in because we have. I got a what's that thing called? A little Zoom meeting thing today. So that I have to participate in. That I'm participating in. So you better get in, fit in. We're gonna see what kind of conversations we can have concerning the end times, whether or not it's real, fake, when it's gonna happen, who's gonna make it happen. Everybody always claiming that we're in it. What up, Dwayne? I don't know if you heard me tell you happy birthday yesterday, but if you didn't hear me, happy birthday. So today's conversation, we are not living in the end times. That's what we're not doing. Yes, I did see that there was another school shooting at a Catholic school today. I actually just saw that like 30 minutes ago, um, that there was a school shooting. I can't say that the shooter was a Christian, but they shot a Catholic church, Church of the Annunciation or something like that. So, and people saying pray for them. Shouldn't your prayers have protected the school? It's a Catholic school, so I'm pretty sure they pray every day. Guess them, and it sounds heartless, but guess those prayers just didn't work. But that's some bullshit. So don't get me wrong. I didn't see who. My heart does go out to the families who who were injured and who the two people who passed away and the shooter. I don't have much heart for the shooter. That's sorry, but I do not thrill at the fact that there was a school shooting of any sort, and I don't get thrills out of the fact that it was at a Catholic school either. You know, no one should ever celebrate a school shooting. That should never be celebrated. Do I criticize the fact that people believe that prayer works, but yet this school prays every day? Yet school shootings happen. Should not this God protect at least those who are believing in Him? You know, I can understand you don't protect me, but it does make you wonder a bit. Like, what the hell? Makes you wonder a bit. What the hell that if a person went into a regular school, if a person going to an office building, it's one thing. But when it's a Catholic school and it's a or a church, that would that would give me church hurt. That would give me a church hurt. It seriously would. If my child was going to a Catholic school, I believe in Catholicism, I would then have to question this God. You know. But like I said, I can't say prayers goes out to the families because I don't believe in prayers because obviously prayers don't work. But I do feel saddened. But it could have happened anywhere, and it will be a sad thing when someone thinks that they just have the right to go into any space where there's a group of people and just kill them. That's foul. That's a vile thing. So our conversation today, though, is about the end times. I see you made it on time, Hurricane. Conversation today is about the end times. Is the end times happening? Is it supposed to be the house of God? Obviously not. But is the end times happening? Has it happened? When is it going to happen? Every generation thinks that the end times is going to happen. So we're going to take a deeper dive right around, about this whole end time scenario. And I would demonstrate whether it's through debate with other people or just talking, lecturing, of how there is no, that your end time, somebody already said it up there. The end time is when you die. Oh, and for my wife, I was, when we were talking about two people, you were talking about Fred. I was talking about James, because James is now on Facebook. So is Fred. Those are the two people I was talking about. So, of course, I encourage conversation within this situation. People are always trying to claim that we are living in the end times. And I have to say, I find it interesting that anyone who believes in the Bible can believe that we are living in an end times. It demonstrates that they don't read their Bible and they just accept whatever the pastor or the doctrine that they believe in that they've been told. I find it even more ludicrous when a person of color living anywhere, if you are a person whose family comes from India, the Middle East, Africa, any of the Americas, the South Pacific, and you think that there is that it's the end times, you're a complete idiot. That's all I gotta say about that. You're a complete idiot. Because there is absolutely no way, as my pappy used to say, who was born in 1927. In the 2000s, when he came to live with me, he used to always say, and even though he was a Christian, he used to always say that them 1920s and 30s and 40s and 50s and 60s, those were the bad old days. That him living in the 90s and the 2000s, that those are the good days. And that from his perspective as a black man growing up through the Jim Crow era, those were the bad old days. So when I see all these people like James Williams on here on Facebook saying that, talking about we're in the end times, it just shows that you have no idea nor concepts of what your Bible says in Revelations and the so-called Gospels. That these are the bad times. I mean, these are good times. Now, depending upon your European descent, you shouldn't be claiming it either. You should be claiming it. If your ancestors was in Europe 300 years ago, which they had, which most of them were, if they was in Europe 300 years ago, what your ancestors 300 years ago and prior experienced in Europe is far worse than what you are experiencing today. The world is so much better now. I want you to consider this. 300 years ago and prior, the overwhelming majority of the world existed in governments that were monarchies or tyrants. You didn't have civil liberties. You didn't have freedom of speech. You didn't have freedom of travel. You were pretty much born into a financial situation that you were going to stay in. The king could declare war. You have to go fight. There was no draft. There was no selective service. There was no, you just fight, damn it, because I say it so. And I'm fighting because I need some more money. The king could take any man's wife. They could come and take your land and kill you. You had no legal recourse. So before a country started becoming more of a democratized systems or democratic republics, Even for the people living in, think about if your ancestors came from Ireland 300 years ago compared to your Irish ass today, those were the bad old days. Those were the bad old days. Today is a much better world than it was 300 years ago. But yet, you think the end times is now. Exactly, John. John said that 300 years ago, if you criticized religion, you were put to death. Think about that. You disagreed with religion, you had a good chance of being put to death. Tie your ass to a stone, throw you in the water. So Christians have been claiming, and whole new religions have come about because people are claiming that, oh, well, not new religions, reformations to Christianity came about because, oh, the end time is going to come before I die. Ellen G. White makes this statement. People believe it. She gets some following. Some other men join her, which allows her to really get some following. And then you have Seventh-day Adventists. Her prophecy proves to be a lie. And all of a sudden, oh, we got to reform her prophecies. I said George Jetson was the new Messiah. He was born July 31st, 2022. Oh wow, really? That's interesting. Because this has nothing to do with what we're talking about. You ever notice there's no black people in the Jetsons? It's not one black person in the Jetsons. And there's a theory that the black people were living below the clouds, that all the white people had left the black people and Spanish people, Asian people below the clouds, where it was all, pollution and that sort of thing. Anyway, back to the subject. Definitely want to hear from anybody who thinks that we are living in the end times. Definitely want to hear anybody who thinks we're living in the end times. I'm gonna put the link up today. Oh shit, that's not the link. That's something else. Definitely go and sign up for our meetup October 31st through November 2nd. The link to the hotel is in the description of the video on Facebook and YouTube. That's at Coach Friends 33. Let me put this in the link in there. I guarantee James won't come up either. James and Fred, they will never come up. So, according to the Bible, according to the belief of the Bible, these end time prophecies, which the Gospels are an apocalyptic writing. Apocalyptic preaching was a very popular thing for the Jewish community from the 700s all the way, and especially in the 500s and 400s. Apocalyptic writing was the thing. It was the end style of writing. So, as the Jesus character and many other itinerant preachers at that time frame, the Old Testament apocalyptic writing were more insistent upon that there was going to be a Jewish Messiah who would conquer whoever the oppressing government is and establish a new Israelite kingdom, and that person would sit on the throne as a king. The Jesus character does not fit that description because he never sat on a throne as a king. He could not have sat on a throne as a king since he was not from the house of David. His stepfather, Joseph, was from the house of David, but he was from the lineage of Nathan, who was banished from ever sitting on the throne. So therefore, the Messiah Jesus type never did establish this kingdom that he supposedly and became a king and sat on a throne. When the Gospels talk about there be two in the fields, one be taken and the other one will be left behind, that is talking about government oppression. That government oppression will decimate and separate the people. And then, as Black Girl Tasu is saying, what time are we in if not Revelations? We are in today. We are in the information age. What we are not in is Revelation. you cannot demonstrate one thing, one prophecy of Revelation that has happened. Now, your vague ones, you can always, so let me retract that a little bit. You can always say your vague ones, wars and rumors of wars, but that's not in Revelations. That's in like the Gospels. But how me and Peaceful Storm agree? Well, often I like Peaceful Storm because she's not one of those religious crazy people. Oh shit, we got Fred and James on Facebook. But if you claim that we are living in Revelations, then when did 4 angels be released at the banks of the Euphrates River and go and kill a third of the population? When has any waters ever turned into blood? It's never happened though. Neither of those two things has happened. Mm-mm. You can't even have Revelations without your third temple being built, because the Antichrist is supposed to sit in the temple and desecrate the temple, suffer a head wound and dies, and then comes back to life. Revelations was talking about Nero. Was a belief that Nero would return with an army and retake the Roman Empire and then persecute the Christians. That never happened. The Euphrates River is not supposed to be drying up. It has to completely dry up. But it has to dry up after the Antichrist has come and established his one world religion and one world government, because the Antichrist will use the Euphrates as a road and walk down it with his military person and his prophet, and frog-like demons are supposed to jump out of his head. So, and the Euphrates River is cyclic in its drying and flooding. So, as it is drying now, the drying will stop, and then it will flow again, and then Turkey and Syria will release the tributaries, and it will flow freely through Iraq. But it is only drying in Iraq, though Turkey is not. Oh, that one ain't happening. That was not happening. And then there's plenty more. Plenty more. We're supposed to have all the fresh waters become poisoned. When has all the fresh waters become poison? When have all the fresh waters turned into blood? I mean, if we're living in this end time. Okay, Jeezy. I just see what he got to say. Wait a minute, hold on. All right. So iJeezy, is that LGZ or iJeezy?
LGZ.
All right. Are you over the age of 21?
Yes, sir.
All right. And are you a believer?
No.
Okay. So your thoughts on this end time prophecies, and are we living in the end time?
No, I don't think so. I think only a bunch of low income people that are not living their best life thinks that.
A bunch of low income people, and what was the last part?
A bunch of low income people that are not living their best life thinks that. Because you don't see rich people talking about end time, they're just living good, bro.
For the most part, you're right. The only wealthier people you see talking about that are the ones who are grifting the poor people and grifting the people who are ignorant of the situation.
Yes.
Right. Because you're right, they're living their best life. They're having a good time. So unless they're trying to maintain that separation between the rich and the poor and utilizing that to grift them to wait for something later, there's no, they don't walk around thinking the world is ending.
Yes, if you walk around thinking the world is ending, you're basically not even gonna progress more in life.
Mm-mm.
If you think about it.
This is true.
Like, if you think the world is going to end tomorrow, you're not going to go to work, or you're not going to try to start a business because you think the world is going to end.
You would. Now you got some crazies out there who will go and spend that money to build them a bunker and all that, but they're thinking more it's going to be a nuclear war, fallout, or something like that.
Yeah.
So
it changes the perspective on people in people's brains.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I agree with you. There is no end time. We're not living in the end times. You're living in your own personal end time when you get ready to die.
Yes, sir. You're right about that. You're correct.
Yeah. But what you won't experience is the biblical version of the end times.
Nah.
Because you cannot experience individually the Euphrates rivers drying up. You can't experience all the waters turning into blood.
Yes.
That's something that has to be experienced by the masses of people.
Yes.
So it still wouldn't be a biblical end time.
Thing is, the Bible is allegory, it's not literal.
Now I'm gonna disagree with you on that one. It's a mixture of both.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, it's a mixture of both.
Yeah, but the overwhelming majority of it is literal.
Yeah.
I know people like to utilize Galatians, what Paul wrote, and said that it was allegory, and I merely think that he was just saying you know the stories are literal, but you should learn from them like an allegory or a fable. But they are based in facts, according to Paul. But to take it and say that it's an allegory, no, it's a made-up story. It's a whole bunch of made-up people.
Yes.
But they believe that these people actually existed. You know, when the writers did, and the people of that day did. Now you got Judaism is now moving more towards saying that Moses never existed, but that's now. 2,000 years ago, they thought Moses really existed.
That's a long time to be waiting for someone to come. 2,000 years.
Exactly, especially when that person said that there were those who are standing amongst you right now who will not taste death. That just makes that dude a liar. Makes him a false prophet according to the Bible.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah. Well, we are in agreement, and yeah, I appreciate you.
Appreciate you. I'm finna get up off here. Thanks for your time.
No problem. You have a good day.
All right.
All right. So he agrees with me. Cool, cool, cool. I saw the end time is perpetual, bro. Go study. You may need to study Madhouse and study without having a predetermined landing point that the end times is a real thing. I mean, you got to show me that it's a real thing. You got to show me the pale horse. You got to prove the pale horse is right. You know, we had the whole thing with COVID, and everybody was like, "It's the end times. It's the." End. I was like, "There's so many things missing for you to be claiming that's the end times." Because you're talking about some, we had the pandemic. I mean, you got to have a pale horse first, which is all. It got to be a conquering wars, right? You got to have the red horse that people is going around slaying all these people. You know, what about the black horse? You know, that supposed to be creating a famine and all this kind of stuff, and but he doesn't harm the wine though. You notice got to keep the wine right. Doesn't the Euphrates go through dry spells? Yes, it does. The Euphrates it goes through dry spells, and then it goes through regular flowing spells, and then it has its floods. You can't claim the pandemic to the pale horse. So I meant the white horse at first, but the pale horse. The pale horse was not riding during the pandemic because all the other horses hadn't started yet. But yes, the Euphrates River goes through phases, just like any other river, especially any river that is fed by mountain snow. In warmer years, then you are not going to have the Euphrates River is going to lack because it's in a desert. It's not fed by rainfall like, say, the Mississippi. but it's fed by the snow caps in the mountains of Turkey. So if we have consistent warmer seasons, then your warmer winters, then you're not going to get as much of a snow cap in Turkey. So then the Euphrates River is not going to flow as it normally does. When we get when we have colder winters, then the Euphrates River is going to flow like a champ. Flow like a champ. And there's always been these end time hopes. Hell, by every year somebody prophesies the end time, the end time. And they are really all jazzed up. I'm gonna say jizzed up about this red heifer that they never sacrificed. And they've been running that little scam for what, about 4 years now, about the red heifer. They have the red heifer, and they're practicing. They practiced this year. They had to practice a sacrifice on one of the heifers that they found the gray hair on it. So they used that one for practice, so that these priests can be cleansed, so that now the priests cleansing themselves and building the temple are not 1% connected. They just putting it together. And then of course the Christians love it because you got to have the third temple in order for the Antichrist to come and sit in the temple and desecrate the temple. So you got to have that before any of this stuff happens. And of course, the rapture is a made-up doctrine that the overwhelming majority of people who believe in the Bible don't believe in the rapture. Hell, even when I was a Christian, even though I grew up in a Baptist church and the Baptist church teaches the rapture, I was always going against it in the church. I was always like, no, your ass gonna be here for them 7 years. There is no rapture. That's not gonna happen. That's just a misunderstanding. That's just a misdoctrine and misteaching of when people come to visit your city, how you meet them outside the city, and then you escort them into the city, and a misunderstanding of government persecution. So, no. No, we can certainly add animal cruelty. This book is filled with animal cruelty of believing that you can sacrifice an animal's blood, and that's supposed to help you out. That's supposed to cleanse you. So, I'm really so at any time if someone thinks that they can prove that this end times is happening, come on aboard. Come on aboard. And it's interesting that nobody ever taught of a rapture until what was it, like a dude named Henry started teaching in like the late 1800s. So all of a sudden, 1800s forward, just primarily in America and evangelicals, and because evangelicals were big time missionaries in Africa, you got mostly Americans in the United States and evangelical based African churches that believe in the rapture. Thank you, Darby. Darby started that rapture bullshit. Appreciate it. And I love how people, let me tell you how people can easily misunderstand things are worse now than they were when I grew up. When you were a child, were you aware of the news? Were you watching the news when you were a child? Most likely not. When I was growing up, there was no, we had Ted Turner broadcasting system. So we had kind of national news, but most people grew up who are my age, most Gen Xers grew up with only seeing the local news. So you only had a few stories. You didn't know about all the killing and murdering that was going on around the country. You didn't know about all the devastating things that was happening around the country. You didn't know all the stuff that was happening around the world. So as a child growing up, you would not have had access to most of that information. But as a child, you wouldn't have been paying attention. As a child, your whole day was go out and have fun. Go to school, have fun. Or if you weren't in school, just have fun. Have fun, have fun, have fun. Kids just play. So, as a child, the world seems like a very happy place. Very happy place. But then you become an adult. And as an adult, and you have to start adulting, you start seeing all this stuff that's going on. So in your mind, things have gotten worse, but they haven't. Shit was worse when I was a child than they are as an adult. I just wasn't paying attention to it as a child. And so that's the psychosis that we are having. Love letter. Love letter. Love letter got children in the background. I don't think they know they're on. Love letter. Love letter. Yeah. They might have done it by accident. They might have done it by accident. We're gonna keep going. We're gonna keep talking. You gotta love letter. If you're still listening, I don't know if you did that on purpose or by accident, but I brought you up. But it was just rustling around and little baby talking. Okay, so Fred, who perpetually is afraid to come on, said that where is your proof and evidence that we are not living in the end times? So your end time has certain prophecies that it says must happen, or things that would be occurring during the end times for us to be living in the end times. Now, since these things are not happening, have not happened, we are not living in the end times. Your events of earthquakes and blood waters and all that stuff has to happen in order for us to live in the end time. Your antichrist, your one world government, one world religion, those things have to happen for us to be living in the end times. You know, all those things right now.
Hello, sir.
How you doing, Mr. White?
I'm doing pretty good. So yeah, we're not in end times, but I'm just gonna clear it up for everybody. It's gonna get pretty difficult for the next 2.5 months.
What do you mean?
So I'm just gonna put it in kind of some numbers and some facts. And when you have mass that is exceeding basically our understanding, hurling at 61.4 kilometers a second at a trajectory that is almost unbelievable to think about, how it's lining up with all of our planets while it's coming in here. Now, Neptune and Uranus are still in disarray, and you can look that up. But that's another story. What we're talking about here, we get to see firsthand Mars. Now, pay attention to that, because that's kind of going to be our fate if we don't consider what the perihelion is all about.
What is the perihelion?
We are in some miraculous times. I mean, you can win the lottery 100 times.
Mr. White, what is the perihelion? Mr. White, what is the perihelion?
The perihelion is the closest point that the body of matter, the two celestial objects, will, at least in my what I've come to put together here, I think they're going to do like what is called a meld. Basically, they're going to it's a companion star, but it's much more than that, on a level that we just were not aware of. And it's going to be something that is, if you can imagine a brown dwarf and a red giant communicating somehow with like these blue plasma type bolts going back and forth.
Okay.
Because this thing's going to slow down, I believe, when it hits the perihelion.
And what's supposed to happen? What is the resulting effects of that?
Well, there's an object that's an interstellar object. It's about 800 million years old. And this object is really what I've come to believe and learn are basically our failed binary star. It turns into a brown dwarf. It burns at like half the Kelvin that our red giant burns at. So this is still a star. So
Okay.
it's like 50 times the size of Jupiter.
What is that supposed to cause? What effects are that supposed to have on our life?
So when you have mass like that hurtling at the speed that it's hurtling at, it's causing a rift. And that rift, it doesn't have to hit us. We need to be as far away from it as possible, like we are right now. We're right hovering around 280 million miles away, but it's closing in.
Okay, so what is that supposed to happen? What's supposed to happen? Are we supposed to have some earthquakes, some turtle rocks?
Yeah, the trajectory of this thing. So that's the interesting point about this, is that it can't be a comet and it can't be an asteroid.
Are you saying that in the next 2 months, 2.5 months, we're going to start having massive earthquakes and tornadoes?
In about 9 days, you're going to look up into the sky and you're going to see about 2/3 of the sky being taken by this thing.
So what you're saying is that in 9 days, we're going to see 2/3 of, this is kind of like how Revelation said that a third of the stars are going to fall from the heavens?
No, our sky is going to be covered by this.
Oh, wait a minute. Sorry. You said,
that's what I'm saying.
My phone rang at that moment. You said our sky's going to be covered by what?
No. Yeah, our sky is going to be covered because it's so darn big.
Covered by the object?
Yeah, it's just going to be big in our sky. It's just going to be big.
What does this have to do with the end times?
So this is going to cause a great disturbance within our basic operation, as far as, like weather patterns, all that stuff is going to be interfered upon. Okay. That's what you get. It's just like throwing a pebble into a pond.
Yeah, you get
ripple effects. Those ripple effects.
Yeah.
So just think of that on a really big level.
Okay. And
so
what does that have to do?
There's a silver lining. You gotta listen for the silver lining. Now that perihelion I spoke to you about, that is the closest point.
Mr. White,
these two will meet.
This really doesn't have anything to do with our conversation today. With the end times.
You just said that you were talking about end times, and this is kind of going to seem like end times. I mean, it's going to seem like it. I don't know about you, but I'm pretty scared to see this thing.
Well, I mean, I can't say that I haven't seen anything in media
that /ATLAS. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Write that down, look it up. And the one to look at is the angry astronaut. He's a published person. He's not throwing a bunch of mumbo jumbo out there. He's putting the facts straight up. Okay.
I will take some time to look that up, but that's not our conversation.
You can message me anytime you want, because this thing's been in my head for like 7 years now. So I'm ready for it to do its thing, or whatever it's going to do. So let's get it on and let's get going.
All right. Well, I appreciate you coming up.
You betcha, bud.
All right.
And I hope to talk to you soon about this. I mean, it's a really big thing for us. I mean, like I said, we could win 100 lotteries, and it would not be the odds of us hitting this event.
Okay.
This is crazy.
All right.
I'm just jumping over it.
All right. I got to get back to the subject.
Yeah, bud.
Thanks.
Take care of yourself.
You too. All right. So we're talking about the biblical version of the end times. There are some interstellar stuff that's supposed to happen in the biblical end times. So if you're a person who believes that the end time is supposed to happen, you're supposed to have this star. A third of the stars is supposed to fall. The sun is supposed to go dark. The moon is supposed to turn blood red. You're supposed to have a third of the stars fall from the sky. Right. So all these things are supposed to happen with this end time scenario. None of those things have happened, nor could they happen. A third of stars cannot fall onto the earth. That's the first thing. Stars are so much bigger than the Earth that they would absorb the Earth. You know, one star hit the Earth, Earth is done. So we cannot have stars hitting the Earth. So the Bible is completely off base with that, because what those people in those days, those writers, thought that meteorites were stars that were falling to Earth. So you can have 1,000 meteorites hit the Earth, which thousands of them do hit the Earth damn near every day. They're just small as hell. You will still have the visibility of every star that we still see in the sky. So that would make the whole idea of a third of the stars falling from the heavens a lie. So it is, I don't believe in an end time. I'm not making the claim of an end time. So it is up to the person who believes in this nonsense to be able to prove and demonstrate that we are living in the end times. Yet this is something that no one can. How do I contribute to this conversation? You can request to come onto the show by hitting the little request button. But yes, every generation has, Joseph is right, every generation has always had their own thought process on what this end times is and their belief in it. And always looking at the situations of life around them that and say that, well, that's the end times. Professor King, is it Kenyatta?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. So are you over the age 20? Yeah, are you over 21?
Well past 21. Full grown man.
All right. And are you a believer in the Bible?
No, I do not subscribe to the fairy tale and the folklore that we find in the Bible.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
This whole conversation about end times, the times will never end. What is in view usually, if you want to dissect it, is the end of a period or age. Certain things may happen as they saw it. Just as you said a few minutes ago, their concept of the world, these writers, was very, very limited at the time. So there is no end time. We all will die before the end time, you see. It's just like you said, understanding science, a star hitting the Earth, the whole thing about stars, they view stars as if they're little as they appear to us.
Right.
But as you said, one star would obliterate the Earth. As well as all the other mumbo jumbo that goes with the Christian thing. I studied Christianity. I was a minister for years before the light, as it were, dawned on me that this is a lot of his Hebrew folklore.
Exactly.
And you also pointed out, every people have some kind of way that they try to explain things. To take it literally is it's like taking fairy tales. You took the three little bears and the three pigs and so forth, and actually would try to posit that they're actually historical events as opposed to some kind of story that demonstrates a moral, In this case, a lot of the symbolism that you find in the Bible is not clear to most people. But the end times, and I studied also Kemetic or Egyptian history, and they don't speak about this, but they point to the fact, and even you go before them, the Cushites and so forth, the astronomy. Not what's the stuff, the horoscope stuff. That's
astrology.
A deviation from what they talk about, and a lot of the symbolism. Like, for example, when you talk about the so-called birth of Jesus, where the wise men study the stars and they know where he is. And then Christianity turns around and talks about astronomy being evil and wicked. But yet, you have these wise men following the star because they are clearly had studied this, but it's all symbolic. It's not literal. They've taken Jesus even, and not the point. I ask people to prove to me that Jesus exists, because it wasn't. Because you can find that conversation in multiple cultures all around the world. There's a book written by Dr. John G. Jackson called The 16 Crucified Saviors, where you see the same story in various cultures from around the world. But they're not talking about a literal historical event.
Right.
And that's where people, I think, go off. They try to make the mythological historical. I appreciate what you're doing and bringing this to the fore. I was just flipping through and I just accidentally ran on you and said, well, you know, I'll contribute my little part to that. We're on the same page with this.
I appreciate that.
I'll let the believers come on.
I'm trying to find a few of them. So we'll see.
All right. Well, good luck, man, and continue what you're doing. Trying to spread the word. Wake up as many people as you possibly can.
I appreciate it.
All righty.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Greetings.
Greetings. I am Miss Benjamin. How you doing?
Yes, and just let me tell you that
wait.
I'm not. Huh?
Are you over 21?
I am.
Okay. Are you a believer?
I'm a knower.
Okay. A knower of what?
The truth.
And that truth being the Bible? Or
the Bible is all truth, but it is what is the definitions of the words in the Bible. We understand them in a different way than what it was written. It was written in a Latin context, but we have been taught English definitions for the words in the Bible. So it's not until we are able to, like, it has taken me 2 years to dissect it to a point where it's the instruction to the remedy to this thing. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
And
so the Bible wasn't written in Latin. It was copied to Latin.
King James took the Latin definitions as the basis for constructing the Bible. That's where I had to start.
Okay. But King James didn't. King James didn't construct the Bible.
Okay. Well, listen to this. This is the thing: is that however it is, I know the truth, and I've been making, and I have been able to start to take steps that I see making a difference. Now, as far as Christ is concerned, Christ. If you look up the definition for Christ,
Miss Benjamin, what we're talking about is the end times.
Right. And the end times would be the return of, say, Christ or the Messiah, right? The coming of the actual Messiah.
At the very end of the end times.
And this is that. And let me tell you why. Because I have realized that Christ is a title. It's also a term used it's treated as a name for Jesus. Treated as a name for treaty.
Okay,
treated. So when you look at that word TR, right? Everything TR starts with a trick. EAT, treat.
So at no point in time when I was a Christian did I ever believe that Christ was his name. It was always understood as being a title. So for the people who would believe that, they just don't understand the words. But most people
it's relevant though. It's relevant in that it actually means Messiah. And when we start to look at it,
well, it means
it's actually supposed to mean, then we know that there's a Messiah to come, right? So as I started studying, I realized that,
a Messiah to come, but at the end of the end time. So,
and the end is whenever you make it the end.
So how can you make
listen, you sound reasonable. Now listen at this.
Okay, but we have to have wait. What we don't do is preach. on
I'm
this
not
channel.
preaching. I'm just trying to inform you of what's going on right now.
No, you're preaching. You're preaching because you're just constantly talking.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Right.
Let me mute.
We're not having a conversation. So in order for us to have a conversation, there's back and forth. But you're just talking and making statements and going past points without me being able to ask questions or interject about any of those points. So in order
sorry, I'm an Aries and I'm kind of, that's my personality is kind of, you know what I'm saying? So please forgive that trait that God gave me. Okay. So so go ahead.
I'm about to experience that trait when I see my cousin Chanel in a couple of days. But so in order for this to be an end time, you say it's an individual thing, but things like all the waters turning into blood is not an individual thing. That has to be a worldwide event that everyone experiences at the same time.
That's correct. And the only thing that was preventing this from happening was somebody understanding God's plan and being able to use their arms to bring it forth. You know what I'm saying? Because
I don't know what you're saying.
You don't understand?
No, somebody's preventing
your arms. You use your arms and your mind to for another one's dream, the American dream. You use your mind and your hands for the American dream and not the dream that God had when he created you from the beginning, because he created the end from the beginning. So we have a instruction to get back there, but they made it where we don't understand it, being the way they taught us the definition for the words.
How does that prevent all the waters of the planet turning into blood?
All of the water, it's metaphors, and you have to get into literature to understand the metaphors, right? But a lot of it is true, because as I've been walking and doing, God has been assisting, because he don't assist you on your will, he'll assist you on doing his will, though. You know what I'm saying?
No, because when the writer of Revelation was writing that book, he meant those things were going to happen literally. He said he saw those things happen literally. It was not metaphoric that these events will happen, because these are supposed to be signs that anybody can look at and see that this is the end time.
That's correct. And do you see the separation of power up above right now, where all of the men of the world have conspired against God, and the only one standing for the law is the central authority? Because nothing. That's why. Well, I'm trying to tell you the truth.
I don't see that as the truth, because you have to be able to prove that that's the truth.
Okay, I can prove to you that I well, I guess you'll have to see it when I prove it to the world. But there's a such thing as a nuclear nation, a biological nuclear nation, and it's only 3 others in the world, and one is is man-made. But we are one of those nations, but we have used our proton ability negatively, which caused our negative energy to be used against us. Like there's 2 types of people out here. There are neutrons and there are protons or electrons.
You still haven't demonstrated how all the water is going to turn into blood. That the waters have turned into blood, or turning into blood.
Because it's supposed to be one nation, and all the men that are standing under a fake nation, they're going to have to come before God as men, because there are no thrones. There's supposed to be no thrones. There's only a priesthood. And all people are supposed to be in subjection under one law, which is the universal law. And the universal law, they call it a title, which is divine providence. But the name is given by the lungs themselves when they breathe, and you can hear it through the stethoscope. It is the composition of the word Yahweh without the vowels, because God don't need no vowels to make his sounds uttered from the lung. You know what I'm saying? So it's a matter of us getting back to the most common element among man, and that's the breath. And no man controls it. God is giver and taker of breath. But men want to exert power over each other.
All I'm hearing is preaching.
Well, this is going to solve the end times, because right now we're in a never-ending war situation, and the only thing that can bring peace to the world right now is that they legitimize God's people.
No.
Yes, that's the only way. That's the only way Putin is going to come to the table.
What I'm hearing, it sounds more conspiracy theory. It sounds more cultural supremacy of what you're saying.
Well, I mean, culture. I mean, I didn't make up the rules. God, it's a hierarchy to this thing.
And you can, as long as God, and I can make, you can make the language, the ancient Hebrew language made sounds without vowels because it wasn't part of their language. The only reason we make sounds with vowels is because it's part of our language. So if we had a language that did not constitute vowels, then we would still be able to speak and make sound. So that's not a valid point. And
okay, you know what? I'm telling you that I am the only person that's actually in God's army right now. And it's me and him against the whole world. And if you listen to what I'm saying, you know, you can go and research the things that I'm telling you. And Ukraine has a lot to do with it, because that's the succession of the throne that's supposed to be of God's people, where he reigns above all people. But right now, there's Ignatius, the Jesuits throne there. That is a beta. It is a beta test, because God was the Alpha and he was the beginning and the end. In the middle is a beta test. So how long will you be beta tested? I'm sick of being beta tested. So I'm bringing beta testing to an end so that God's kingdom can be established. And the end times is now, because I'm working on it. So that's how I know. So you have a great day. If you think you can teach me anything, because I've been taught by the Almighty. I'll holler at you.
Okay. You have a good one. There were some people on Facebook and YouTube who had came up into the, had clicked on the link, but if you're going to click on the link, you have to wait your turn. I am pretty much going by who comes in first, second, and third. And I'm not doing multiple people at the same time, if I can help it. So,
because I ain't got much, bro. I was just going to ask you, batteries on paper towels move at 100 miles per hour.
What? What did you say? Batteries on paper towel move at 100 miles per hour.
Yeah. It don't mean nothing.
It don't. It don't mean a damn thing.
That's my point.
That the end times don't mean nothing?
Well, what I'm saying is, I was just going off of, you know, sometimes people say things, and whether they're saying things that are that the sentences that connect, or you're saying nonsense, it equals out to the same in the end. You effectively have said nothing.
Right. I wouldn't even, you know, all due respect to the previous person, she said go research them. I wouldn't even know what to research, because that was word salad.
Well, that's what I was saying. She said she's in the army by herself.
Yeah.
Just her, so I'm not even privy to that information. But what I will say to you about the end times, it would just determine. I mean, it would just be. It would just come down to how long do you think that time is? Is it 100 years? Is it 1,000 years? Is it because if you do agree that it's going to end, right? Now you got to quantify how long would be considered within the time frame of the end time.
Right. And you have to be able to distinguish that, and you need to be able to demonstrate all your little prophecies that's supposed to happen for it to be the end times that they are claiming in the Bible, which none of those things have ever happened.
Well, some of the things are taking place. I mean,
what?
You can't tell the seasons are changing.
I can tell the seasons have changed. I lived in Atlanta for 20 years of my life, and I can tell when every season was coming in and going out. That's one of the reasons why I left Atlanta, because I wanted to live somewhere where we didn't really have all those seasons.
Well, it's a little bit different now. It's a little bit different from when I was growing up. I'll just say, from visibly seeing, it's not drastic, but like all things, like, you know, like when you start talking about change, you ever watch your children grow? You know, one day you see them every day. Before you know it, they tall, and you don't really realize it because you're witnessing it as it goes.
I hear you, but you have to recognize that when you're looking at global temperatures and seasons and things of that nature, if you only look at it from your lifespan, then yeah, you might be able to make that claim. That's why I was saying earlier that when you were a child, you thought the world was great and fun, but now as an adult, you see it as all the horrors of that goes on. If you look at the Earth goes through cyclic climate changes over the course of hundreds of years and thousands of years. So when you look at it from that perspective of the facts of the Earth, we will constantly go through warmer climates, cooler climates, balanced climates, and then warmer climates, cooler climates, balanced climates. The Earth constantly does that.
Yeah, I'm not making a claim. I'm just saying some of the stuff that is being said. I don't know if, you know, you won't be. I don't know if that's in the Bible or not. But you know, they say we won't be able to tell the men from the women from the men.
I don't think that's in the Bible. That sounds something more doctrine.
Well, I mean, it might be from it's an Abrahamic faith. I know it's a Quranic thing where it says that. In times, yeah, it talks about that. Yeah. You know, so I don't know, you know, but again, it just depends on how long you're talking about, if you believe that it's ever going to end. That would be the first question.
Yeah.
Do you believe that?
No.
You don't believe it will ever end?
No. Not in the sense of it. Well, let me rephrase that. I think that Earth has experienced multiple extinction level events. Will the human species one day not be on Earth? Of course. Even if we don't experience another extinction level event like a meteorite or something like that hitting the Earth, or a comet, there's only so long that our sun will be the same size it is, and there's only so long we'll be in the habitable zone. So eventually the Earth will end, but that has nothing to do with Bible. That has more to do with science.
Well, I mean, both of them seek to explain the reality in which we live in, right?
Yeah.
So you can take the cloaks of the clergy and replace them with the lab coats of the scientists.
No, you can't, because the scientists base their facts on evidence that can be demonstrated, observed, and repeated. The clergy base it on belief. So
that's where things have gotten to. You know what I'm saying? If you really want to be real about it, but it was there's a science to it. It's not like one or the other. I don't think there's one or the other. I think they both speculate from that perspective. Even science is the faith that the results of the past will repeat themselves in the future until they don't. And then they say, well, that's not true anymore.
Well, it depends on, and those things are backed up by facts, though. They're not backed up by, belief, and they're backed up by testing. So
yeah, but when you say the force of nature, what is that? What is that exactly?
It is natural forces that occur within our known universe and our understanding of the universe.
Correct, but what I'm saying to you is there a purpose to them, or they just happen to be like randomness?
They happen to be, but we give them purpose.
Okay, so like if I took all the parts of a watch and I put it in a jar and I shook it up, would I ever get a watch?
That's a horrible example, man.
Well, no, it's not, because I'm saying that the way that things flow, the system in which things flow,
but
for that to come, you think things systematically came together with no intelligence?
Just like the construction of a watch came through processes that started long before a watch was ever constructed, so too does nature. Nature just didn't burst, just poof into cloud accumulation, wind, high tides and low tides. These are all things that accumulated over millions and billions of years in order to produce the results that we have today. So it is not. So that's why anytime to put a watch in a jar or a tornado snatch up all the parts of an airplane and you get a Boeing 747, those are incompatible examples because nature didn't happen.
Even if you put the parts in there for millions of years and you shook it every day for millions of years, you still ain't gonna get a watch.
Because a watch is something that is man created by merging elements through smelting and other types of creation of elements that were already that they were there and forcing them to be together.
What I'm saying is you're not gonna get a watch even with all of those things man-made without a purpose of a watch.
You can't get a watch by that method, but you can get a watch by people studying the sun, studying shadows, determining time, how it functions, how it works, then developing abilities to make metals and gears and that sort of thing, and then putting them all together to function as a watch. Nobody shook up an airplane and created an airplane. So and nature wasn't shooken up. Nature was, you had the sun, the singularity happened. A nebula is a result of that. From the nebula, all kinds of shit get together and create stars. The stars then, with other materials, create the planets. The planets get bombarded by comets that got water and all the kind of elements on it. And if the planet is in the habitable zone of that star based on its size, then life began to emerge from it because we've demonstrated that you can get life out of inert objects. So it's a process, not a shakeup.
So you're basically saying that we gave, things happen and we gave it purpose, right?
Things that we give, so nature happens regardless if we observe it, watch it, measure it, it's going to happen. Just like mathematics happen no matter what. It is, then we give things purpose and names and things of that nature.
What I'm saying is, does it have an intent? Is the purpose inherent, or is it that I'm not talking about us being able to describe it? What I'm saying is things have a purpose prior to us having an understanding of them.
Well, see, that things cannot have a purpose without us giving it an understanding, because other than that, things just are. You would have to then give wind a consciousness for wind to then create its own purpose.
Well, I'm not saying that the wind had a consciousness. I'm saying that there was a consciousness that created the wind.
You'd have to demonstrate that that consciousness exists.
But then you would have to demonstrate to me how that is not, or show me that anywhere else. Demonstrate to me that you have any example of things coming together without a conscious purpose prior to.
As a Christian would say, look outside. I was just joking. I was just joking.
No, but I'm just saying it's almost like you're arguing I like to call it the Christopher Columbus effect, where they came across the people and said, I discovered you. You had no purpose until I came upon you.
No, but see, that doesn't work because the people who were there had created their own purpose for themselves. That's just somebody.
Right. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. We can all say that. We can all make that assessment and know that to be true. What I'm saying is the delusion of coming across them and saying, "Hey, you didn't have a purpose. We discovered you."
See, you keep using purpose, and that's where the mistake is. In mathematics, 2 + 2 is going to be 4. Whether we agree, whether we disagree, whether we have belief, whether we have faith, it doesn't matter. Mathematics function regardless of our thoughts. On Earth, gravity happens at 32 seconds per foot. No matter what you want to believe, it just is. So utilizing the term purpose is where it throws off the entire aspect of it, because math doesn't have to have a purpose. It just does. It just exists. It just is. That's what it is. So wind on the earth is just what it is, because of all the shit that happened and came together to create the earth. But that did not have to be because of an intelligent mind. That's just how things happen once the singularity exploded and materials gathered with one another. It didn't take it. All it takes for that to happen is energy. That's it. And all things are energy.
I mean, I believe for me, that way of thinking requires more faith.
Not actually, it doesn't, because it's not.
For me, it does. It does for me.
Well,
out of nothing at all.
See that
all of this.
See, to you, it requires more faith because you're basing it off of an incorrect stance. There is no such. We have never ever discovered any space where nothingness can exist. And since energy exists in all phases and everywhere, then nothingness, by deduction, by deductive reasoning, cannot exist. So therefore, no person in science is believing in nothingness. So the idea that people put on science that all this came out of nothingness is incorrect. That is not the scientific thought.
So from that perspective, you're saying all the somethingness always has and always will be.
Pretty much, yes.
And we're just changing the forms of the somethingness into so.
Right.
Which
transmuting from one form to another.
And but so even that, so you're saying it has no start date whatsoever?
No.
So from that perspective, there is no time.
No Earth time, but there is space time. But we don't know but space time is eternal.
That is interesting.
Right. Since nothingness since nothingness cannot exist, then there is no beginning to space time. It has always existed.
So you're saying that consciousness, which we have now, came from unconsciousness?
You can say that, yeah.
Can you demonstrate that?
Well, that's what I was saying. We have observed inert objects, objects that do not have life, going through a process and then having life. But
I guess what I'm saying to you is
having life would be consciousness.
But what I'm saying to you is, you take humans, you take apes, you take I don't know, lions. Can you tell me why the consciousness of man has evolved in the way it has, and the lions have not?
Because of our makeup.
It's a good question. It's a very good question.
No, it's because of our makeup. You see, you cannot compare a different species because different species evolve differently. So because they evolve differently, that doesn't necessitate that a lion is going to evolve at the same rate or the same way that a hominid is going to evolve.
Correct, but if it's all coming from the same substance,
right?
It's all coming from the same substance, randomly with no choice involved. Nothing is determining what goes here, what goes there, right? So from that perspective, I don't know even how, because if it was always living, because now we got life coming from non-life, which we can't demonstrate that either.
Yes, we have. That's what I just said. We have demonstrated life coming from non-life. That's where inert objects are, non-life objects, in how we understand life as far as having a consciousness.
No, I'm saying, okay, so you're telling me two rocks can because we both agree that rocks are not living. Things that are not living
in the way
produce things that are living.
In the way that most people, in the way that life has a consciousness that we acknowledge, then yes. But you have to understand, two rocks you're trying to take two rocks and put them in a human format. Two rocks don't have sex, and then they birth out a new rock. And if you only can look at it from that strata, then of course your mindset is going to go where it's going right now.
No, I'm saying even a plant. I'm saying demonstrate that in any type of car. It don't matter what it is. Things that are inanimate objects creating one that's animate. Do you? I mean,
Yes.
I'm sincerely asking the question,
and I'm sincerely explaining that yes, it has been demonstrated that volcanic eruptions happen, and then those inanimate rocks, because of the conditions around it and other things, then life begins to come from it. But these are not things that happen in, when you're trying to make it happen within like a year, 2 years, that's not how you can evaluate those things. Those things
so
are.
you're saying that from the rock, so let me understand this. The volcano erupts, right?
Mm-hmm.
The lava comes out.
Mm-hmm.
From the lava, right? You're saying that what life is sprouting from
The lava, the lava mixes with the water, and then the combination of the lava mixing with water, single cell organisms begin to come from the mixture of the two.
Okay, and eventually they evolve into what?
Depends on what other elements or things that they come in contact with. You see, that's why you can't compare a lion's evolution to a hominid's evolution.
But I guess what I'm saying to you is how do you evolve into different creatures to this capacity? Like because what we're talking about is like, so if all of it's coming from the same substance, right?
It's not. So it all doesn't come from the same substance. You have substances that merge with one another, that are attracted to one another, and as they continue to merge over billions of years, they evolve into more complex things based on their environment and the substance that they are. So like when the earth was formed, but then a comet hits it 3 billion years ago, the earth and the comet are not of the same substance, but the combination of those things starts the process of life. And that process takes billions of years to happen. So,
and then once that happens, from what you're saying, you're saying that from that we got different species.
Yes, you get different species because of the different environments and the adaptation that those species take on.
So some adapted to humans, and some so from your perspective, based on the adaptation, you could have ended up being a bear. Basically.
I could have never ended up being a bear, but a bear ends up being a bear.
No, I'm saying from your perspective, because it's random.
From that,
so there's no purpose, there's no plan, right?
It just is.
Correct. It just is. It just was. It just did.
Right. We are the ones who are ascribing purpose to it. Dolphins ain't running around talking about their purpose. Bears ain't running around talking about their purpose. They just exist. We have given them purpose.
I get that part. See, you thinking that I'm saying because we can articulate it at the point that we can articulate it, that's where the purpose comes into play.
That's where purpose comes into play, period.
That's what I'm saying to you is, minus, based on what you're saying, minus being able to articulate something does not remove the fact that it is. So, for example, before we understood how plants grew, they grew. They did not gain purpose for growing, they did not gain purpose when we discovered how that worked.
They gained purpose from our understanding of purpose. Prior to that, the plant just did what the plant does. It just exists.
And what I'm saying to you in a nutshell is, it had a purpose. It did what it did, and then we discovered it.
Which we are still ascribing that purpose to it. It just did.
We could be wrong.
We
could be wrong.
Yeah, but we're not, because we study it. We see that the plant's job is what the plant does is that it utilizes photosynthesis to grow. It uses spores. It to proliferate itself. It releases oxygen and absorbs carbon dioxide. It's going to do that regardless if we say that's why whether we say it does that so that it has the purpose of putting oxygen in the air so that the animals that breathe oxygen.
And what I'm saying to you is it had that purpose before we discovered it.
Okay, that's fine.
That's my point.
Then, but that's your point. But that doesn't require that. But what I'm saying that doesn't require design.
What I'm saying to you also is what you're saying is that until we discovered it, because you're saying we assigned the purpose, right? We assigned the purpose to it, that it did not have that purpose before we knew it.
No.
And what you're removing from the equation is man's ignorance.
We agree. We actually agree. Because we agree with just using different words. You call it purpose before we identified the purpose. I call it just is. But yet that can be ascribed as its purpose as well.
I get where you're coming with, it just is, but but we do separate on that. I think that it would be like me asking, have you ever seen a perfect tree? What would you say to that?
There is no, because nothing is perfect.
Correct. And what if I told you all trees are perfect and your perception is what's imperfect? Because no one ever came to you and asked you what a tree should be. How do you know it's not exactly what it's supposed to be? Because it was there before you. And this is why I was calling it the Christopher Columbus effect.
I think it's semantics. It's semantics.
No, it's not semantics at all. It's not semantic at all. It's the idea of, who ascribes now this is semantic, because he who ascribes what perfection is, and generally speaking, the idea of perfection that we have as people or whatever is something that is man-made, or something that is that does not exist. So from that perspective, you have people saying that nothing is perfect, everything is flawed, except for that which we have imagined. So we think that things are supposed to be other than what they are, but no one has ever told you that, nor asked you. So if nothing is perfect, then there is no balance. But things are balanced.
Things are not.
We think they should be. We think they should be different, right? Because we have this hypothetical way of the way things could be.
Okay, at the end of the day, it sounds like you're trying to ascribe some type of consciousness for placing and putting everything where it is and why it is what it is. Is that what I'm?
Am I?
I don't know, because to be honest, you said a whole bunch of stuff that to me sounded rambling. And I could be, and it could just be my I just didn't understand where you was going. But
where I'm going with it is the benefit of saying that nothing is perfect, and then basically what I'm saying is, if someone is telling you that nothing is perfect, from that perspective, you will always operate from a deficit across the board.
I disagree. That's your philosophy. That's your philosophical standpoint on it. But the reality is that within everything there is, like, you're born with cancer cells. So no human is perfect because they're born with cancer cells. You're born with something that'll kill you, right? So you're not perfect. No one is perfect. No one's created perfectly.
But then I see that again, you're approaching that particular thing from the perspective that your purpose is only for you and you alone.
My purpose is for me and me alone.
Well,
my purpose is not for anyone else, because I'm the one who determines my purpose.
What I'm saying to you is, if you did not have something in you that would unalive you and everyone live forever, then that would cause an issue in and of itself. The balance would be thrown off if everyone was to survive forever.
You don't know that.
Especially with reproduction, yes.
No, because everyone still wouldn't live forever, because there are accidents, there are tragedies, there are There is still death. The earth has more shit to kill you than has to keep you alive.
What I'm saying to you in a nutshell is you was equating or correlating something that would unalive you to say that that was an imperfect design. And what I'm saying to you is the imperfection that you're calling imperfection would also suppose that you was made to live forever. If you're calling that a flaw.
It is a flaw. If it was if there is a designer, then that is a flaw. All right, but
again, this is where I come back with the Christopher Columbus. You're seeing things as flawed, but yet you are not the designer. So you're approaching it from the perspective of, it should be better.
I don't.
When you don't know, when you do not know the purpose. It's just like if you build.
So you're still ascribing, even in your definition, your Christopher Columbus would still be that your God is the one who decides the purpose for it. That there's still some being that is.
I give you a better example. A hammer, for example. You know, and you got a screw, or a screwdriver, and you got a nail. And I'm sitting there looking at the screwdriver talking about this is a stupid design. It don't work. It's stupid. Because I'm coming about it, I don't even know why it was designed in the first place. So I'm trying to do something with it that it was not designed to do. Now the person coming behind it and explaining it like, no, that's not the tool for that. But because you don't know and you're trying to use it for what it is not, you're coming after the fact. Now you don't understand it, and now from that perspective, it's stupid. It's just like, shit, I know you go through this every day. People don't understand what you're saying, and because they don't understand, they tell you you don't make sense because they don't understand.
I understand what you're saying, but what you're saying is that there's some God that ascribed a purpose for creation. And although we may, in our own judgment, see it differently and think that there's something wrong with that creation, you would have to first prove that there is this designer.
I mean, I guess the onus would be on the person proving that it's not in a way where
the onus is always on the person making the extraordinary claim.
Well, it's not extraordinary. That's why I said that the other claim is extraordinary to me.
There is no proof of a designer, yet we can see, measure, and observe singularities happen. We can see, measure, and observe stars, nebulas being birthed. We can see, measure, and observe stars being birthed, planets being birthed. These are things we don't have to have faith in, or that we don't have any facts to back it. We have facts to back these things up. There are no facts to back up the claim of a designer.
I guess what I'm saying to you is there's nothing physical other than, nature, right? Anything that you see physical that has a design, that has a flow to it, that you would come across and say, it just happened.
No, it does nothing. So nothing just happens. It's all cause and effect. It is all cause. There is always a causation. Sometimes you just don't know what that causation is. And this is where people like myself would just say, I don't know yet. Instead of ascribing a designer. You just don't know.
I get that. I don't know. No, I get that. I don't know. And I'm all for the I don't know. Right? I don't know. I'm 100% with you. However, the only thing is, for me, the I don't know leads towards more a creator than not one, is my point.
Okay.
Based on what I see.
Okay.
You get what I mean?
I understand what you think, but I just disagree with it. So at the end of the day, I just disagree with that.
Okay. Because I ain't gonna hold up too much more of your time, bro. I mean, because we're gonna run in circles. You're gonna say what you say. I'm gonna say what I'm gonna say. We're gonna agree to disagree, but we're gonna be cordial about it, and it's gonna be all love.
It's all love. It's all love.
But But when you get to let me know whether or not batteries on paper towels move at 100 miles per hour.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
I got you.
But I'm going to go ahead and give you a follow, bro.
I appreciate it.
And go from there.
All right.
All
Thanks.
right,
Later. Fred, I see that you are in the waiting room on Facebook, but you have to, it says your mic is not turned on. Device cannot connect. So Fred, I don't know what you're using, what kind of phone you have, or if you're using a laptop, but your mic is not connected, is what it's telling me. They will need to connect their microphone / camera before you can add them to the stream. So Fred, I need you to work on that, figuring out how to turn your microphone on or camera on or whatever is needed. You
Can
got
I ask you one last question before I go? So, like, let's say, you know, prior to the Medellin discovering the periodic table and the elements that go alongside it, right?
Mm-hmm.
You following me so far? Oxygen, bromine, all of the elements, right? Are you one of the people that would be like, before those were discovered, that they did not exist because you can't see them, you can't test them? Before the instrumentation was made or developed to measure them, then from that perspective, you would have to say they did not exist based on what you're telling me today.
If I understood you correctly, when you look at the periodic table, if you cannot measure them, then they don't exist. Is that what you're saying?
Correct.
No.
Before that time. That time. So let's imagine a
wait,
world.
Wait. No. You ain't got to go further.
Okay.
So one thing about me is I know on some instances I have to be long-winded, but I like to be very direct. So effectively, if something cannot be measured, then as far as your knowledge of it, it doesn't exist, but that doesn't mean it doesn't exist. It just means that you haven't come to the realization of it yet. So there are probably elements in the universe that we don't know exist. So therefore, to us, it doesn't exist. Hence, in the religious realms, if there is a God, that God has not demonstrated any proof of its existence. So therefore, until that realization comes, it does not exist. But it has to demonstrate itself. So in order for it to exist for us.
I got you. And this is where I say, now I understand why you said it's semantics.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Because the way that you're articulating it is just different than the way that I'm articulating it. Because I like to just say, you know, because I think a lot of times from a science perspective, a lot of people, they remove the reality of mankind's ignorance.
No, science doesn't remove the reality of mankind's ignorance. Science just says that until there is demonstrative proof of something, we're just not going to claim its existence.
Yeah, but what points them in the direction is the fact that it does exist.
No.
This is how they discover. This is how they discover every time. This is what the theories are. I think this is out there. I haven't seen it yet.
No.
But I'm going to go looking.
No, most theories come about because of observing something. And then you try to figure out how that something is in existence. And
but this is what I'm saying. Like,
and
so for example, discovering atoms.
Mm-hmm.
You can't see an atom, but because I see something which is solid, which is matter, I think there's something up under here. I think I have a belief.
Man, you're taking it in the wrong direction of the philosophical process of science. I look at this desk. I see the desk. And then I develop technologies that allows me to see smaller into the depths of the desk. And then I see that there's more to the desk than what I'm seeing. And then
correct. But the purpose of developing the technology, there was a purpose. It was because you believed. You didn't develop the telescope to look at something just for the sake of it. No, it's under the auspice that there is something there.
It's under the auspice of, I wonder what that is. Like when man first looked through telescopes at the sky, it was because first they were looking through their naked eye and it was like, oh, there's a star, there's the moon. I want to see more of it. It's a curiosity, not a faith. And then when they look and they see more of it, because they get some glass, they get some sand, and sand heated up makes glass. And then they're like, oh, with this glass, I can see this more clearly. So I wonder if I can make this glass stronger, how much more can I see? It is not a faith, it is a curiosity of continuously observing something at a deeper level and utilizing and finding the technology to do so.
Potatoes.
No, yours is based on faith, of saying that there has to be something there or belief of something there.
I'll use curiosity. I'm saying the curiosity to see, but they have an idea that there is something more than what is seen.
Okay, but that doesn't mean a God, a designer.
I'm not talking about God. I'm talking about atoms.
Okay, I don't understand your point then, because you were saying that they have, you used the word faith in that statement. There's no faith involved.
I'm saying you're looking at the seen and it's leading you to that which is not seen.
But faith is believing in something that is without evidence or is unseen. But scientists don't start out believing. No scientist was like, I bet you this desk is made of molecules, and I bet you molecules are made of atoms. Now I'm going to figure out how to come to that conclusion. That's not how science works. Science works says there's a desk. I just want to know what's inside the desk.
I guess. So I'll take away the word faith for the sake of argument, right? Because I understand how you see faith. I don't see faith that way.
That's the definition of faith, but that's it doesn't matter how you see it. That's like math. It doesn't matter how you see it. That's the definition of faith.
Well, I think you could base faith on facts.
No, faith, and the definition of faith is believing in something without facts, in the absence of facts. So you cannot have faith and facts together. That would violate the English language and any other language that uses the word faith.
No, what I'm saying to you, so belief.
Belief is believing in something that without facts.
No, I mean we have belief in tomorrow.
No, we don't. I don't have a belief that tomorrow will come. Tomorrow will come.
You don't have a belief that tomorrow will come.
No, I know that tomorrow will come because of our observation of how the Earth rotates and the sun rotates around the sun and and the Earth rotation. Now
that goes. You cannot demonstrate a future fact. There's no such thing as a future fact.
Unless there is a asteroid that blows up the Earth.
No.
Tomorrow will come.
There is nothing that you can just demonstrate as far as a future fact. All facts are past tense. In order for it to be a fact, it has to be verified. And you cannot verify anything in the future.
In that,
nothing.
Okay, so you are correct. But it is mind-numbing that you would suggest that with all the evidence that we have today, right now, that you cannot say that tomorrow that you can't.
I'm not saying that. I'm demonstrating that how belief can be based on facts.
No, I don't believe tomorrow will come.
The only reason you believe that the sun is going to rise tomorrow is because it did yesterday.
And it has done for millennials. The sun has risen.
So your beliefs are based on the facts.
Semantics again.
No.
That is semantics.
No, this is not semantics.
Yes, it
I'm
is,
telling
bro.
you, there's no such thing as a future fact. You agree that there's no such thing as a future fact.
The reason why I say it's semantics, if I said that, tomorrow the aliens will come and show themselves, yes, that will be a believing something. There's no facts to back that up. But when you're talking about, when we're talking about natural processes that have demonstrated themselves for billions of years, then that is you're turning something into a philosophical belief, a philosophical argument instead of the reality.
No, when you're saying that, what is it? That's an irrational belief.
I'm that part of the conversation I'm done with, because that's a argument that is philosophical in nature, and it doesn't fit the profile of what you're stating it is.
When you demonstrate a future fact, when you get to the point of demonstrating a future fact, we'll talk. Until then, you have to say that belief is a real thing and that you have to use it.
You are in violation of, you are utilizing the term belief as incorrectly as you possibly can in that sense.
How?
I just explained how. And it would be repetitive to continue. Dude, I'm done I'm done with that conversation. I can't. Because the piece will leave, because, and I'm not trying to be insulting, but, and so if I called you stupid, that's insulting, but the ignorance of that comparison or that example, because in no scholarly conversation would anyone make that kind of an example to verify belief has facts that backs it up, because the term belief in itself means that you have no facts.
No. It just means it cannot be verified.
No, sir.
Hold on, I'm gonna drop the definition for belief in the chat for you.
You don't have to do that.
You gonna tell me? And you want me to believe you?
Well, I'm looking at it. Belief is an acceptance that a statement is true or something exists. Trust, faith, or confidence in someone or something. That is belief.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
I don't need faith for fact. Faith and belief are similar, or they're synonymous with each other.
What's synonymous?
Faith is synonymous with belief.
Okay, so ask the question. You can go through AI. Can beliefs be based on facts? Because I think you're misunderstanding what I'm saying, and you're looking at belief as being this thing of it has to be not necessarily false, but it has to be based in outer space or on nothing.
Okay, so I will give this to you. As far as the AI is concerned, and I have no reason to, I'm not one of those people who see new technologies as evil. It says that yes, beliefs can be based on facts, and often are. Although beliefs are fundamentally distinct from facts because they are personal convictions, while facts are objectively verified pieces of information, beliefs are shaped by facts and evidence, but also by personal experience, cultural influence, and values, making them subjective. For a belief to be fact-based, there needs to be reliable evidence, back justifications for it.
Correct.
So.
Correct. And that's all I've been saying. Like, that's all I'm saying. I'm saying that the fact that we based our beliefs of the future based on the facts of the past. We should, and this is the balance.
I understand what you're saying, but because we're talking on a whole God thing, beliefs are without facts. There are no facts.
What I say to you is
that's why I said your example. That's why I said your example is not a good one, because you're utilizing something that we know that happens and that has been observed and is based on objective facts, right? That's why your example creates the type of response.
I don't come from an either or space, right? If it's true, it's true. If it's false, it's false. and that's it. So like, what I'm saying to you is to come and just, I mean, just basically be like if it's belief, it's false, then that's not true. And all I'm saying to you is both of them exist, and both of them are to be utilized in discovering and to operate in this world in a true way. We can't even operate without belief. We can't. Because then from that perspective, you can never make a plan.
So in the very first part of that, I said it was semantics. And the semantics are, you are utilizing beliefs in a subjective manner of your conviction in an example of beliefs that are based on a repetitive thing that we have observed that is objective. And you're trying to marry those two together. But those two cannot be married together. Those two are separate identifications of how to use the word belief.
Correct, but I base my beliefs on facts.
But your belief in a designer and your belief that the sun will rise tomorrow are totally separate from one another. They are not joined together. They cannot use the both of them in the same sentence with the same thought process. That is my point on that.
Oh, okay. I mean, we could disagree there. Yeah, that's fine. But all I'm saying to you, and no matter how you slice it, in order to stay in balance, you need both.
They are both sliced. There's belief without facts, and there's the belief based on objective facts. And even I went to your AI, and your AI even creates the separation.
No, I'm saying
that's why it's that's why your argument is semantics in its nature.
I can see that from your perspective.
It's not a perspective. It is what it is. It just is what it is. That's why I say, like, the sun coming up is not perspective or subjective. It is an objective. But your belief, but a belief in a creator is completely subjective.
I'm not talking about the creator. See how that works.
That's what the whole conversation. If you're not talking about that, then what are we talking for? Because that's what this whole. Because we're not getting off subject.
No, I was just demonstrating again how, that it leads to it. Because from that same perspective, we can also.
It doesn't lead to they're separate. They cannot be combined.
What I'm saying to you is, from that perspective, we can argue that there is a God, and we just don't have the.
No, we cannot, because there are no objective.
Hold on, let me finish my statement. Let me finish my statement. We can argue that there could be a God, theoretically, right? And we do not have the instrumentation yet to prove it.
Sure.
So that's all I've been saying. In a nutshell, like, I don't deem it, because this is we said it.
You've been saying that there is one, making the claim that there is.
No, I said that
not a could be.
No, I said that the evidence that is here for me leans towards there is a God.
And there is no evidence, but okay.
And that's what I'm saying. That I don't believe in randomness in the way that you do. And that's when we part ways. You know what I'm saying? So, like, the why behind the what. Because even from the perspective of randomness, it's still a theory. You can't demonstrate it.
I've already told 30 minutes ago, I told you how we demonstrated it. Has been demonstrated.
No, that took belief in somebody else's work.
You're taking belief in somebody else's work by saying that there is a creator. Because without somebody teaching you that, some books or clergy or some type of culture, you're accepting their work. So what's the difference?
There is no difference. That's my point.
There's a huge difference.
You put out the point that what's the difference when I tell you there is no difference. they're different.
There is a difference between evaluating someone's work whose work has been verified, whose work has been peer reviewed. There is a difference when you accept the work of someone who's done that. You're accepting the work of people whose information has never been verified. That's a big difference.
Never meaning that we don't have the paperwork, or never that it never has.
It has never been verified. No society or group has never verified the existence of a God or creator, however you want to describe it. But the work that has been done to verify life coming from inert objects has been verified, peer reviewed. Yours has not. That's a major difference.
You know the difference between what we're saying is, it's just like if you're looking at a number line from 0 to 10, and someone starting at 5 and going to 10 and saying that's the starting point.
And that person would be wrong.
Why would you say that?
Because if the number line that we're looking at has a starting point, then a person saying that it starts at 5 is wrong, because it has a starting point. You just gave it a starting point.
The person that's saying it starts at 5 is ignorant of the 0 through 4.
You said if we're looking at it, they are deciding to start at 5.
No. Not deciding to start at 5. I'm saying that the person he does not know. He's ignorant of it. It's just like the evolution of science, where they think that this is the base, and then they find there's something under that.
Because science is not a closed book. Science allows for questions, for questioning.
And that's what I'm saying. They're traveling the number line backwards.
Okay.
To find out the start.
Okay.
And where they're at now, if you was, I don't know, 100 years ago, you would have thought the starting point was another place. And you would have said everything before that did not exist, is my point.
Okay.
So you're relying on the scientists the same way that a religious person would rely on the clergy.
No, we're not.
I mean, the lab coats and the cloaks of the clergy are interchangeable from that perspective.
No, they're not. They're not. But that's what you think. That's what you believe. That's fine. But they're not. I've already explained how they're not.
Yeah, I mean,
they're not.
And I'll say this before I go. The most agreed upon source of truth today for most people is Google. So from that perspective, Google is the all-knowing.
Okay. I don't understand what your point is, but that's fine. Yeah, if you use Google, you can use Google properly, and you can use it improperly to come to whatever conclusions you want.
Oh, no, what I'm saying, it's not about me. I'm saying it's the agreed upon source of truth. Meaning, if you get two religious people arguing, they go Google it, and they be like, oh, well, Google says this.
Mm-hmm.
This is what the information shows that they was.
And just like you did, you will still come away with it with your own definition of it, regardless of what it actually says. Because the Google AI clearly made a distinction between fact-based belief and subjective belief, which has no facts.
That's what I said. You pegged me into a box of subjective belief.
No, I listened to what you said, and placed you exactly where you, based on the words that you said. You said that they are one and the same, interjecting, but they don't.
No, I did not say they're one and the same. I said you can base a belief on a fact. You told me that you absolutely could not.
And then
that's why you Googled it in the first place.
And I Googled it, I read it, and I explained the difference between fact-based belief, which has to have objective evidence.
You further went into telling me that you do not automatically demonize technology and say it's wrong. So it was never that I changed my position or that you proved something to me. I'm just telling you where my position was.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like I know you didn't. I know the difference between beliefs and facts. There's a huge difference.
No, because when I was explaining that, you went against what I was saying, but that's fine. because you went against when I was saying that there is subjective belief that is not based on facts, and then there is belief that is based on objective facts. And then you tried to merge them together and say that they are still interconnected. And that's why we spent 10 minutes of me saying that no, they're not interconnected. And you kept saying that they are. That's what you said.
That's what you got from it.
No, that's what you said. That's what you said. I take people, I am a very literal person, and I take people for what they actually say. I don't try to interject my own thoughts into what they say, because that would be disingenuous for me to tell you what you are saying.
But I mean, if that's how you feel about it, my question is, if you really feel that way, why are you doing it?
You got a bunch of people in the comments who are saying that is what you said. So I'm not the only person who thinks that's what you said.
Again, the fact that we cannot demonstrate anything in this world coming together randomly, right?
And I have went over how things through probability have come together. I went over that over and over again. It's been proven, it's been demonstrated, observed, peer reviewed, and yet you still are saying that we have not. So I can't say nothing to you then at that point, because you're just putting up a wall to saying that I don't care that you have said that, have demonstrated that, and given me the information to go research for that. I'm still going to say that that has not been proven. So I can't do anything beyond that. You understand what I'm saying?
No, I get you. I get where you're coming from.
Then you wouldn't repeat that statement again, as you have repeated it at least 2 to 3 times.
No, I get it. And I get how people because people live in an either or place. You know what I'm saying? So I understand also why people will say, yep, that's what you said. Because anytime you mention belief to the fact-based people, just like anytime you mention facts to the belief-based people, they automatically think they're on the opposite side of the spectrum. So, I get it. I get where I get my perspective being in the middle, where I make, because I get the same objection from people that be like, yo, you just got to have faith in everything. And I'm like, well, you got to base that on your facts. They be like, the facts don't matter.
Oh.
So I get it from both sides.
Okay.
So, I get it. But I'm going to let you go,
man,
because I know I feel like I'm taking up too much of your time.
I was just about to say,
not really,
I try to bring up people one at a time, and I try to let people have a little time, but you don't got a whole bunch of time.
Yeah, I know. So let me go, man. I'm
being
respectful.
Appreciate you.
Later.
I do appreciate you. Don't take it. I'm not offended, okay?
No, I know you're not.
Okay.
I know you're not. That's why we could joke around, we could talk, and we could disagree, because ain't nobody taking it personal.
All right. So
yeah, all right,
later. All right. Chief. I don't know, Fred, you ever fix your phone or whatever device you're using, Fred? I don't know what device you're using that was messed up. But if you want to try again, you can try again, Fred. Chief, are you over 21?
Yes, I am.
Are you a believer? Oh, and real quick, wait a minute, real quick. I saw a question on YouTube. I'm not just bringing up people who agree with me. It's just I'm taking people one at a time. So you just gotta be patient. But go ahead, Chief.
Okay, so I have knowledge of the Bible, and I believe in what the Bible says. So I'll say that.
Okay. So you believe we're living? Do you believe we're living in the end times?
Yes, I do. In a sense, I do. And I'm gonna say, not only based on my perspective, but what the Bible says or whatever. But I don't want to get too much deep into that. I just wanted to ask you some questions, and I wanted to.
Well, before you ask me some questions, you say you believe in the Bible, right?
Yeah.
So do you? So are you? So maybe I just didn't hear it. So I'm gonna ask again: do you believe we're living in the end times?
I think so.
Why?
I think so.
What end time events that the Bible prophesies has occurred?
Well, I heard I heard you guys mentioning something. I don't know if it was this person or the lady that was on before, but I heard somebody mentioning something about the weather, and I have experienced different. I have experienced a difference in weather, and I know this by paying attention. And I'm 37, mind you, I'm 36 years old. I was born in the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
And I know this because living on the East Coast, you know, the weather here on the East Coast is very harsh, very,
Mm-hmm.
very harsh. It can like the climate can be very inclement. And like ever since I was growing up, I used to see the snow a lot, a whole lot. Like every winter it snowed and there was always so much snow. There was even one time back in the 90s when it snowed in April.
Okay.
And a lot of things was closed down. So I remember this type of stuff. So it's, you know, I live in New York City now, and for the past, I say for the past for the past 7, 8 years, New York City has barely gotten any snow. Barely.
Okay.
Barely gotten.
Let me ask you a question.
And
Have you ever researched weather patterns beyond your 36, 37 years of life?
have I ever researched weather patterns?
Yeah. Beyond your
Honestly, no. Honestly,
Okay.
no. I don't check the weather. I don't check the weather.
Okay.
I'm not the
So
type of person that checks the weather. I just live whatever day I wake up in. I just live with that day. I don't check the weather. I don't
okay.
even
Okay,
check the weather
that's
because I'm just
okay.
thankful for the day.
You're going too far. So what I'm getting at here is the fact that if you were to research weather patterns, you will see that New York, for example, has been through hot summers, it's been through mild summers, it's been through cold winters, it's been through warm winters. So it would demonstrate that the weather in New York, just like everywhere else on the planet, is in a cyclic cycle where it changes constantly. And when you look at ice core samples, because we haven't been tracking weather for 2,000 years. But when you look at ice core samples and then what people wrote about the weather throughout history, you will see that weather changes has always been occurring. Before Jesus, weather changes were always occurring.
Okay, maybe that's so. Maybe that is the case. But I don't know that because I have not researched that. But even if I was to research that, how would I know that that's true? If somebody else is telling me this information.
Somebody else is telling you the Bible information, but you believe it's true.
Okay. What that, that all ties into part of my questions. Now, based on my experience, I've noticed that the weather has changed based on my experience. So that's all I'm saying.
Okay. Well, experience is anecdotal.
Based on my experience, based on my 36 years of living, my 35 summers that I've seen, my 36 falls that I've seen, and my 35 summers that I've seen, that I see the weather change.
Okay.
I've seen a change in the weather.
That's anecdotal evidence, so that is not you can't submit that as objective evidence, because I can say the same thing for my 53 years of living, that I've seen the weather change as well. But that does not necessarily mean that we are living in the end time, because my pappy, who was born in 1927, have seen weather changing. And I'm pretty sure my ancestors prior to them seen weather cycles change as well. So that's anecdotal at best. It's not proof. That's just a perspective.
Well, like I said, I think so. I said only think so that we're living in the end times. That's what I said. I never said that we were. But
Okay.
based on my experience, I've seen the weather change. I've seen a decline in certain things, and I've seen an increase in certain things. So that's where I'm going with that.
Okay, I mean that's like the thing about experience is that's a person's experience is their experience. And Fred, your thing is still saying that you need to turn on your microphone, but experience is just experience. It's not acceptable proof, because somebody else on another side of the planet can have a different experience than yours, and then have a different result, right?
Okay.
Like if I lived in the Virgin Islands, my experience is maybe that the weather has always maintained that nice 80, 90 degrees with that cool breeze. My experience is that the weather hasn't changed.
And I'm not arguing that. I agree with that.
So
wholeheartedly.
So I would suggest that if you're going to think that we're in the end times, that you would need some harder evidence.
Okay. So I wanted to ask you a question. This first question is a yes or no question. So do you believe the Bible is false?
Yes.
Okay. So my next question is, do you believe in science, and how did you learn about it?
Well, let me rephrase some of what I just said. Because you use the term belief, I know that the Bible is false. As far as science, yes, I accept the overwhelming majority of what comes out in science.
And how did you learn about science?
Through studying.
How did you learn about it?
Through studying.
How did you learn about it? How did you learn about science?
Studying.
Studying?
Yes.
And who? Okay, so do you believe in what man says or what science says?
I accept.
And who presented that?
I accept
those studies.
Okay, so is your real question?
Who presented those studies to
you? Is your real question more along the lines of scientists lie? So why do you believe in science? So why do you follow science? Because man writes science? Is that what you're really saying?
So I'm asking you how did you learn about science?
So science works by
science to you. Hold on. Who presented science for you to study?
So of course I had teachers, but also I went and studied independently. And the overwhelming majority of scientific knowledge I have is all independent study.
So you believe what man says about science based on your studies?
I accept what different scientific experiments have produced. Yes, men are the one who produced the scientific study, but it is produced through observation, testing, peer reviewing. It is not produced by somebody just sitting there and making up some stuff.
Okay, so sir, I'm gonna ask you this. Does it take a human to be a scientist, or does it take a scientist to be a human?
What?
Does it take?
No, I heard what you said. Excuse me, I heard that. Thank you for the flowers, Sherry. That statement makes no sense.
No, it does. But
no, it makes no sense because a scientist, a scientist is a human. A scientist is a human.
Right, someone that bears a human being that bears the title as a scientist is an occupation, correct?
No, not necessarily. I would consider myself to be a scientist.
Okay, well, normally a scientist is like some sort of occupation.
Well,
it's a title.
You have millions and millions of people who are scientists who do not do it as an occupation. People who study. You have people who put giant telescopes in their backyard. They don't do it as an occupation. I once had multiple telescopes. It wasn't an occupation. It was something that I decided I wanted to study. I've done many chemical experiments, not as a job, something I was just interested in. So no.
So like a type of sciences would be, for example, a few types of scientists, like a geologist, a geometrist, a biologist,
yeah,
an archaeologist. These are scientists, correct?
Yes.
Okay, and they bear the title of a specific type of scientist, correct?
Sure.
Okay, so now, how come when a man says, which is a scientist, okay, how come a scientist, which is a man, says that something is real to you, you would accept that? Now, I'm not going to say believe because you said you accept. So you accept that as fact and evidence. But if a man tells you what the Bible says, you don't accept that.
Okay.
And see, on top of that, they have books too.
Hold on.
So you
study.
You have studies, right?
You have studies. You can't ask a question and you can't ask a question and keep talking. All right. So you've landed your question. So let me answer the question. Which 3 minutes ago, I pretty much said that your real question is, and instead of saying yes, that's my real question, now we come to your real question, which is what I said earlier. Your real question is, why do you accept men who are writing these scientific papers, put it that way, and not accept the man who is writing the men who are writing the religious books? That's your real question. So the answer to that is the scientific method, and I can apply the scientific method to both the men who wrote the Bible and the men who write scientific papers. The men who write scientific papers have went through the scientific method, which is observation, experimentation, and then quantifying the results of that, and then having it verified through sources outside of those people. The Bible, the men who wrote the Bible and the belief in it, has not been through scientific. The belief in it is not based on the scientific method. People they read it, they believe it. There's no peer review for the belief in it. Now, when the Bible does go through peer review, it fails over and over again to live up to the original statements. So therefore, scientifically, through that scientific method of critical thinking, the Bible is not believable because it fails peer review.
So so dig this, right? So we're gonna take this to another subject. Let's go to history.
No, let's stay on the subject that we're on. Let's stay on the subject that we're on. The Bible fails peer review. So why do you accept the Bible when it constantly and consistently fails peer review?
Well, see, I don't know that for a fact, so I can't, answer that. I don't know for a fact. I'm not gonna sit here and say that it doesn't prove anything.
The Exodus.
If I say that, then I'd be lying.
So the Noah story of the flood fails peer review of a worldwide flood event happening that covered every mountaintop. It fails peer review from geologists, from archaeology, from sociology. It fails.
So the archaeologists, archaeologists or paleontologists or whatever, did they not discover the ark?
No.
Like, do you not?
No.
Okay, so what was it that they discovered? And can you tell me if that's
they discovered natural rock formations all throughout the mountains of Ararat that look exactly the same. and have looked at it and seen that it is natural rock formations. The government of Turkey saw an opportunity for a tourist trap, and they put that, and they designated that spot to be what it is. And the person who they are utilizing, Ron Wyatt, has been debunked on every claim that he has ever made.
Okay, so how do we know that? How do you know that?
Through scientific methods of peer review of multiple scientists,
right?
And the Bible came from man as well.
Okay, that's true.
So if multiple scientists go and they evaluate the structures, the so-called structures in the Ararat Mountains, and they see multiples of these structures, they test the rock formations and show that they are just rock, and that there's iron, there's rock, it's rock and iron, and the rock and iron is all over the place, and that Ron Wyatt just chose the iron spots that would make the shape of a ship. And satellite imagery show that those rock formations are all throughout that area. Why would I trust the one guy who makes the claim when all the other evidence demonstrates that the claim is false?
So, I mean, like I said, that's a human being. So how could a human being... Okay, now I'm gonna ask you this.
No, dude, are you serious?
Right?
Are you seriously trying to say that satellite imagery, testing the rocks through instrumentation by multiple scientists who have no allegiance to one another, that demonstrating that that those structures are all throughout the mountains of Ararat, that you're going to place that as, well, human beings and not the evidence itself?
I mean, I don't see you with the evidence, because we're all worried about, like, if like for men, right? We have the proof. We need proof, right? We need proof, right? Nobody has came to you and said, here, this is this, and these are the bones of this. Nobody's came to you and said that.
I don't need people to come to me. I went and researched the information, and I've been there.
So you believe it?
No, I've been there. I've been to Turkey. So I went to Ararat, flew over Ararat. It's not there. It's not. There's no ark. The ark is not there. It's rocks. But even if I hadn't,
okay, it's rocks. All right.
Even if I hadn't been there.
So what about the room?
The who?
What about all the city ruins and stuff like that?
What about city ruins? City ruins always exist.
Is that not enough tangible evidence? Is that not enough tangible evidence?
No. Is it tangible evidence that the city of Troy? Okay, so we have the ruins of the city of Troy, right? You know the city of Troy? Do you know that city?
Yes.
All right. So according to Homer's,
I don't know too much about it, but I heard of it.
Okay. Yes. So according to Homer's writings, the city of Troy existed, and it existed in Turkey. And then when Priam's treasure was found and stolen, but does that mean that Achilles existed and that he is a demigod?
Absolutely not. I don't know that.
But we have the ruins.
If I can say that, if I could tell you yes or no, then, and I'm not sure, I'd be lying, because I don't know.
So you don't know?
I don't know that for sure.
So you don't know if Achilles existed or not?
I do not know that.
But you just said that he doesn't exist, because I asked you, does that mean that Achilles exists? And you said, no, he doesn't. No,
I didn't say no, he doesn't.
Okay, so let me ask you a question. Does Achilles exist and he's a demigod?
But how do you know that?
Does Achilles exist and he's a demigod?
I don't know that. I want to know how you know that.
Homer wrote it in his Iliad and Odyssey that Achilles fought in the battle against Troy and that he was a demigod.
So do you believe what he wrote?
Hold on. The reason why I bring that up is because you said that city ruins, is that not evidence? we have the city ruins of Troy, of the city of Troy. So if we have the ruins,
we have the city ruins, correct?
Is that not evidence?
What took place? How do we know exactly what took place and what led up to the city being in ruins?
Exactly my point. You said that this having is not city ruins the evidence that is needed to accept these stories, right? Is that's your take? So we know that we got ruins of the city of Jericho. So does that mean that Joshua conquered Jericho and the walls fell down?
Does it mean that?
Yeah.
If the Bible says so.
Ah, there it is. If the Bible says so. So if the Bible says so and we have city ruins, then that's evidence. But if Homer's Iliad says so and we have ruins, that's not evidence.
I don't trust in, you know, stuff like that. Why? Because yeah, a man wrote it, but you know, based on my belief, you know, God told man to write certain things down.
So based on,
also told him not to write certain things.
Okay, so based on your beliefs, now you said a man wrote it. Did God write the book of Joshua or did a man write the book of Joshua?
God is the author.
Did a man write?
And man wrote it.
Okay, so
God told man what to write.
So God told man what to write, and he told man to write that Joshua spun around the city 7 times and the walls fell down, right? That's what you believe.
That's what it says.
All right, that's what it says. So
what it says, and I know that's what it says based on what I know it says, that's what it says.
Okay, that's what it says. Now, what we know for a fact is that the city of Jericho's walls had been down since 1500 BCE, and that they were never rebuilt again until around 1000 BCE. The time frame of Joshua would have been in 1200 BCE, 1200 to 1100 BCE. So, is God right? Was God wrong?
How we know that? I'm gonna ask you again. How do we know that? How do you know that?
By archaeological evidence is how we know that. Archaeological evidence. Excuse me?
Who presented this evidence?
Archaeologists presented the evidence.
A man presented this evidence.
Okay, so basically, so we can cut to the chase of this. If it's in the Bible, then you believe it, regardless of any other evidence that is demonstrated, because man presents any and all other evidence, even though man wrote your Bible. So you believe that snakes talk, donkeys talk. You believe that people walked on water. People had a 5 loaves of bread and 2 pieces of fish and fed 5,000.
Absolutely, because there's people that practice divination, and I practice divination, so I know that. So
you practice witchcraft because the Bible tells you that you're not supposed to practice divination.
And that's why I don't do it. I said I used to.
Okay, so you used to, but you believe whatever the Bible tells you, so you're fine.
So there's like divination, and you know, believing in, you know, having faith in the Most High and all of that, and understanding the supernatural is 2 sides of the same coin. It's a good side and a bad side.
You believe in magic. Hold on, because we're not going to preach on here about the Bible and believing in the Bible. I'm not doing that. We don't do that here. We just deal.
Okay, we don't have to.
We just deal with facts and reality. And so,
you know, I'm not gonna say, you know.
So are you a black man?
If a scientist is a man, and my teacher is a scientist, and my
you don't trust anything that's outside the Bible. That's
teacher doesn't even know.
Stop going through all that. We're not going through all that.
That is true.
You keep talking, I'm gonna mute you. But we don't do all that. You believe, you said it plain, you believe in the Bible, you don't believe that, and anything outside the Bible or that contradicts the Bible, you don't believe in it, right? So what about contradictions within the Bible? Since the Bible is your only source that you will accept, Where did Jesus go after he was born?
He was here on the land.
No.
Well, not here.
Where did he go? No. Mary and Joseph, they had the baby Jesus.
They went to Bethlehem.
They had the baby Jesus in Bethlehem. Where did they go when they left Bethlehem?
I don't quite remember. I don't remember, but I know that they went somewhere else in the land of Israel or whatever.
All right. So you think they stayed in Israel? Right?
I think so.
Okay.
I think so. I can't quite remember that. I don't quite remember that. I'm not, like, when it comes to the Bible, I'm not a Bible geek, and I don't quote scriptures just to manipulate people and all of that type of stuff.
You shouldn't quote scripture to manipulate people. We're just looking at it for what it actually says. It's not about manipulation. So in Matthew chapter 2, at verse 13, this is after the Magi came to visit baby Jesus. He said, now after they had left, an angel of the Lord appeared to Joseph in a dream and said, get up and take the child and his mother and flee to Egypt and remain there until I tell you, for Herod is about to search for the child and destroy him. Then Joseph, then Joseph got up and took the child. So they went to Egypt, right?
Yes, they went to Egypt. That is correct. That is right. Thank you for reminding me.
All right, hold on. Don't go nowhere. So you were saying they went to Egypt, right? Now, in Luke, starting at 21, when the 8th day came and it was time to circumcise the child, he had called Jesus, the name given by the angel before he was conceived in the womb. When the time came for purification according to the laws of Moses, they brought him to Jerusalem and presented him to the Lord, as is written in the law, as is written of the Lord. Every firstborn male must be designated as a holy to the Lord. And they offered a sacrifice according to what was stated in the law of the Lord, a pair of turtle doves or 2 young pigeons. Then it talks about how they talked to this dude, Simeon. So first, they went to Jerusalem, according to this story. And then it says, after they talked to Simeon and Anna and her daughter, when they had finished everything required by the law of the Lord, which is the sacrificing the 2 turtle doves and everything, they returned to Galilee, to their own town of Nazareth. The child grew and became strong, filled with wisdom, and favor with the Lord God upon him. So where did I ask you again? After 8 days of his birth, where did Jesus go?
To Egypt.
But Luke just said they went to Jerusalem and then back to Galilee. So where did Jesus go? Are you believing
back to Galilee? But
Matthew said they went to Egypt.
Okay, well, see, I know that when it comes to the Bible, the chronological order is messed up, and not only that, you're not gonna get every detail you're not gonna get every detail in the time frame. Like, for instance,
how is the chronological order?
I'm not preaching.
How is the now we got to deal with each thing you said. How is the chronological order messed up when both of them are indicating that Jesus was an infant just born, 8 days? They both are indicating that. So how can Jesus go to Egypt and go to Galilee and go to Jerusalem and Galilee at the same time?
Well, translation is an issue. Translation is an issue.
This is God's word. So are you saying man is the issue?
Man is absolutely the issue for God's word being jacked up.
So
yes, absolutely.
If man is the issue, if God's word is being jacked up, then how is it that you will accept these words? If man has jacked them up, then how do you know the walls of Jericho were knocked down by Joshua? How do you know where Jesus went? You don't know, because man jacked up his word, right?
Well, the reason why I know that is because when you look at certain texts, You have to actually understand what you're reading. You can't just take it for face value.
What is there to understand? What is there to understand about Jesus was an infant? They either, Luke says they went after 8 days, they went to Jerusalem, which is where Herod was, according to Matthew, but they went to Jerusalem and then they went to Galilee. Luke, that's what Luke says. Matthew is saying that, oh, Herod is going to try to kill you, who is in Jerusalem, and they went to Egypt when he was a baby Jesus. There's nothing to read into it.
Refer to the original text. Always. You have to always refer to the original text.
There is no original text, because the oldest piece of text we have is around 70 AD, and it's a little scrap of paper about that big. So where did they go? Because there's a contradiction right there. Where did they go? There's more contradictions within that story, but I'm just going to focus on this one.
Okay. So I tell you what, look this up for me. Look this up for me. Just do me this favor. That scripture, those two scriptures that you read, right?
Mm-hmm.
I want you to look those up, and then I want you to type in Flavius Josephus. Flavius Josephus is a historian. So he has everything recorded. The Greek Septuagint coincides with what Flavius Josephus is saying, and also the Samaritan Pentateuch.
Okay, so what part of Josephus?
If what you're saying is correct, which I agree, the Bible has, has things twisted. The Bible is not contradicting.
Okay, I know
it's the people that put it together. Now, what we gotta understand.
Dude, don't do that. You're pontificating long-winded bullshit without and trying to just state. You're trying to state everything that. So you got muted because you're trying to state a whole big long thing without and make so that it sounds like it's the truth and just continue to go on and pass by some good stuff. All right, you said. You brought up Josephus. I'm gonna unmute your mic again. I'm gonna unmute your mic now. But you said Josephus, right? Oh, you have to unmute your own mic. I guess when I mute people, they have to unmute themselves. That's weird. Why won't let me unmute it? Oh, there you go. Okay. So you said Josephus. Josephus, one, does not record anything about the birth of Jesus. Not one word about birth of Jesus. So are you referring to Josephus' Testimonium Flavianus, where it says that, and there was this man, if he was a man, who performed these miracles and all this sort of thing? Is that what you're talking about? I know Josephus works like the back of this right here. So is that what you're talking about? When you mentioned Josephus?
Yeah, I could be talking about that.
You could be. Do you know what Josephus' Testimonium Flavianus is?
Yeah, I literally I sat there and like listened to that whole book, like the whole audio.
So what does Josephus' Testimonium Flavianus say? But what does his Testimonium Flavianus say?
He says a whole lot of things.
What does it say?
He says a whole lot of things, man.
What does he say? You got to be. See, if you're going to make a claim, see, this is not. I'm not the type of person that lets you make a claim and just let it be vague as hell. Josephus. So I'll tell you, Josephus' Testimonium is saying that there was a man named Jesus. This man, if he was a man, was the Christ, and that he performed many miracles and was crucified by Pontius Pilate. That's what the Testimonium Flavianus says. Now, the problem, here's the problem. One, it speaks nothing of his birth, so it doesn't connect to the Luke story or the Matthew story. Number two, it has been
can you Google that right now?
It has been looked upon by every goddamn scholar, other than apologists, to be an insert into Josephus's work somewhere around the 4th and 5th century. That Josephus did not write that. Huh?
Would you be able to Google that right now?
Google what? What aspect?
Like what you're saying.
That Josephus' work is.
You said it doesn't mention anything about his birth, right? So can you pull that up in Google or whatever, or the AI? Type in that scripture, and then Flavius Josephus, and see if what you're saying aligns with that scripture and what Flavius Josephus is saying.
Okay, so when you type in, no, Flavius Josephus did not mention Jesus' birth in his writings. The passage in question, the Testimonium Flavianus, is widely considered to be an interpolation or forgery by Christian scribes, not Josephus himself. So no, Josephus didn't write about his birth, and the Testimonium Flavianus has been something that Christian scribes added.
Okay. Well, thank you for that. Appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Appreciate that.
So, but
okay.
You said but now you can always say, well, that's man, right? Because Josephus is a man. Christian scribes are men. So I'm gonna help you on that one to be able to deflect that. The Bible itself, which is supposed to be the written word of God, inspired by God, right? You believe that?
Correct.
But when infant baby Jesus was born in Bethlehem, both stories indicate that they are in Bethlehem. But then both stories diverge and say that Matthew says he went to Egypt, Luke says that they went to Jerusalem and then Galilee. Is that not a contradiction?
So it is a contradiction. It is a contradiction. However, like I said, I don't
Wait. You admit that it's a contradiction.
The Bible is contradicting. I think that.
Wait, you just said it is a contradiction.
People who translated it contradicted.
That is translated the same way from the Septuagint to the Vulgate to every other translation. Well, let me not say this. Let me rephrase. Let me correct that. Not the Septuagint, but that is the translation from this Codex Sinaiticus to the Vulgate and every other translation after that. Each one of them have Luke and Matthew saying exactly what it just said that I read to you.
They all agree.
They all agree that Luke sends them to Jerusalem and then Galilee, and Matthew sends them to Egypt.
Okay. And what's those other ones so I can write that down? Those other ones you said? So you said, okay, so there's Greek Septuagint, there's Samaritan Pentateuch.
So the Greek Septuagint is just the Old Testament. The Codex Sinaiticus is the Greek version of the New Testament in Koine Greek.
Sinaiticus, can you spell that? Can you spell Sinaiticus for me?
Honestly, I would spell it wrong. Ever since spell check came out back in the 90s, my spelling abilities have. But hold on for a second. Okay. The beauty of Google is that if you even halfway decently spell a word, it will fix it for you. Okay, so Codex Sinaiticus, Sinaiticus.
Ticus. Okay, so it sounds like this refers to some people from Mount Sinai or something like that. I don't know.
No, this is the Greeks so the New Testament is written in Koine Greek. It's not written in, and the Sinaiticus is the collection of those writings. Is one of the codexes. Okay. I mean, you got the Leningrad Codex, you got a bunch of different codexes, which is merely just people copying these writings. So.
Okay, and what's the other one that you mentioned?
I mean, you can look at the Valentinus. That's just a Latin version of the Codex Sinaiticus. Okay. But at the end of the day, they all say the same thing.
How do you spell that?
Dude, just Valentinus. Just check it out. Try to write it.
Okay,
Valentinus.
Valentinus.
You can say it, pronounce it either way. But you still, so you admit that there is a contradiction. You said that this is the breathed word of God. Yet.
Oh, absolutely. There are contradictions. It's not God contradicting. It's not the prophets contradicting. It's the people that came after contradicting the Bible to fit their narrative, to fit their doctrine.
So what do you believe Jesus went?
I believe he went to Galilee. That's what I believe.
So Matthew is lying.
Matthew could be out of order.
Okay, so if you believe he went to Galilee, hold on.
Wrong. It could be out of order.
Okay, so if you believe that Matthew is lying and Luke is right, then that would mean that Jesus doesn't fulfill the prophecy of I will call my son out of Egypt. You might want to change that. You might want to say that Luke is lying and believe in Matthew, because then he will fail the prophecy.
Well, like I said, I think it's out of order. I don't think it's a lie. I just think it's out of order. I think maybe.
Do you want to change which one you believe? Do you want to believe Matthew instead of believing Luke?
Well, I think Luke should probably be before Matthew or something like that, because a lot of, like I said, I understand that the chronological order of the Bible is wrong. Like certain
what does that have to do with? That has nothing to do with this question that I asked you. Matthew says that Jesus came out of Egypt, that he went to Egypt. Luke says that they went to Galilee and then to Jerusalem. Went to Jerusalem and then Galilee.
Okay,
you
Matthew
said you believe in Luke, that he went to Jerusalem and then Galilee. So you're saying that Matthew is wrong, right?
Matthew what?
You're saying that Matthew is wrong, right?
What scripture in Matthew?
Oh my gosh, bro.
What chapter?
I told you already. I already showed it to you. It's Matthew chapter 2.
Okay.
So is Matthew wrong? Is Matthew wrong?
I just want to see it for myself. Okay, Matthew chapter 2, what scripture? What scripture, what verse?
13.
And when they were departed, behold, the angel of the Lord appeared to Joseph in a dream, saying, Arise and take a young child and his mother and flee into Egypt, and be thou there until I bring thee, where a parent will seek the young child to destroy him. Okay. And Luke 21, you said?
No, Luke chapter 2.
Oh, Luke, okay, Luke 2. Okay. Luke chapter 2. Okay. Okay, chapter 2, verse
39.
What's the verse?
39.
39. Thank you. And when he had performed all things according to the law of the Lord, they returned unto Galilee, to their own city of Nazareth. Okay. I think those are two different events, sir. So I don't think your claim is correct.
Why do you think those are two different events?
Well, let's read what happened before it.
Okay, read what happened before it in Luke. So in order for you to read what happened before it in Luke, you have to go up to chapter 21.
Okay, chapter 21.
Yep.
You want me? Okay.
I'll read it for you. When the 8th day came, it was time to circumcise the child, and he was called Jesus,
Okay, I see it.
the name given by the angel before he was conceived in the womb. When the time came for purification according to the law of Moses, so this is where in 39 they say after they had performed all the laws. When the time came for them for the purification according to the law of Moses, they brought him to Jerusalem to present him to the Lord. You know, as it is written in the law of the Lord, every firstborn male must be designated as holy to the Lord. And they offered a sacrifice according to what is stated in the law of the Lord, a pair of turtle doves and 2 young pigeons. Now, this next part from 25 to 39 is talking about a conversation that they're having in Jerusalem with Simeon, and then with Anne and her daughter, Puniel, whatever, how you say her name. And then it jumps back to 39. When they had finished everything required by the law of the Lord, they returned to Galilee and to their own town of Nazareth. So these are not 2 separate events. Are they not? What happened when Jesus was born in Bethlehem?
Okay, I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying, but everything is not going to be described. You know, everything is not going to be. What I'm trying to say is everything is not going to be put in place. You know, when you tell somebody a story, you don't tell them every single detail. You don't tell them what color the grass was, how much grass was on the ground.
You're using examples that are.
You won't tell nobody.
Hold on, Chief. No, I cannot hold on. Chief, stop talking. I cannot hold on because you're deflecting for one and trying to utilize a example of something that does not fit what is being said. Does that not demonstrate that it was the same event happening, which is the birth of Jesus? Is both Matthew and Luke demonstrating the events during the birth of Jesus?
I don't think so.
So okay. You know what? It was good talking to you. It was good talking to you. I can't talk to a dishonest person. All right? Because you're being dishonest.
I'm just saying I don't think so.
You're being dishonest. You're being dishonest. Chief, you know damn well.
I'm telling you I don't think so.
Chief,
and I say no.
You know damn well that we just read. Chief, we just read this twice. This is the second time we read that. I read it the first time. We had a discussion. We just read it together a second time. And you know damn well that both of those are talking about the birth of Jesus. Both of them. Now, you're going to sit up here and lie and say that they're not talking about the birth of Jesus? And we just read it.
I'm not saying that they're not talking about the birth of Jesus. What I'm saying is that the events, whatever was taking place, is not the same. Like, it can't be the same. Like,
so are you saying
it's not giving you every detail about what happened?
Every detail that has nothing to do with it. Are you saying that one doesn't say that they went to Jerusalem and then Galilee, and the other one says they went to Egypt at the time of his birth? That has nothing to do with giving every detail, because both of them do give different details to that story. One has the Magi visiting, the other has shepherds visiting. So they're both giving detail. So there are some different smaller details, but where they went after the birth, both are giving the same, are trying to tell the same story. So where did they go?
Well, translation is an issue, brother.
Okay. You know what? You can't be honest. You cannot be honest. You want to jump to translation so you can try to renegotiate this story because you need to believe that it is the inerrant word of this God. But you clearly can see that both stories is saying that he was born, that he was only a week old, and that his parents either went to Jerusalem and in Galilee, or his parents went to Egypt. It is not two separate time frames. It is not two different, like multiple, these events could have been happening at the same time, because I don't know where you are, but you cannot be in New York and Los Angeles on the same damn day, and you don't have an airplane. So I'm gonna go ahead and just take that out of the equation. But you can't be in those two places at the same time. Can you?
So I hear what you're saying, and you know, but I'm gonna like look that up. I'm gonna research that, and then I'm gonna come back to you on that.
All right, research it.
And I'm gonna verify if you're right or not. I can't say if you're right or not because I don't know how true that is. So I'm gonna look at these other books that you gave me, these other sources that you told me, and I'm gonna make the comparison.
Okay. All right.
And that's all I can say about that. Like I said, I'm not gonna say you're wrong or right because, like I said, I think and I don't know for sure, and I'd be lying if I just say that I knew what I was talking about when it came to that. So I'm gonna just look it up, look and be sure about it, and when I am sure about it, I'll come back to you.
Okay. Well, I'm live every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday, 12 noon Eastern Standard Time. Today I do have a hard stop, which is about to happen real soon because I got a meeting at 3 o'clock. But I won't be live the rest of this week. I won't be live again until Tuesday because I'm going out of town. So you go so you got about 4 or 5 days to research.
But okay, but I see why you're saying no. That I see why you say what you say when it comes to like not believing the Bible and that it's text that a man wrote. I totally understand that, and I feel the same way about school and science and history. I feel the same way. So I get you. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna look into that, and once I come to the correct conclusion about it, I'll come back and see you about it.
All right.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Appreciate
that.
And I honestly am going to be very interested in what he comes back with. All right. Let me see if Raven Shane. Look, y'all got to be patient over there on Facebook and YouTube. You know, I do one person at a time now. I know sometimes y'all run out of time, and I know things are long. So, and I'm not doing 4 hours today. That's for damn sure because I got a meeting at 3, and it's 2:04 right now. Raven, shit, I forgot. Was it Raven something? But Raven.
Raven Squawk.
Okay, Raven Squawk. Okay, I have an opinion in my mind, but I'm gonna let you tell me. So, are you over 21?
Yes.
Are you a believer in the Bible?
No. I
knew that you weren't. Just by the name Raven Squawk, I knew that you weren't. So and I just want to ask this question. I'm not gonna like try to talk deep about it. Are you Wiccan?
Yes.
I knew it. Raven Squawk, gotta be Wiccan.
I couldn't have been any more.
Couldn't have been any more obvious than that. So what do you think about this end times? Do you think we're living in the end times?
No, I don't, because I have actually done research, and I'm a deconstructed Christian of over 15 years, and all of that was written in a time. They thought that they were going to see the end times. The writers of the Bible thought they would see the end times.
Yeah, they did. That's why Paul told people that don't worry about getting married because you should only be focused on Jesus because he's supposed to return before we die. And
I think it's gotten so out of control, especially now, because people are so easily influenced, and it's so crazy that we can't have an actual conversation anymore without anybody having to, no, I'm right, no, I'm right, no, I'm right. What happened to actual debate?
When it comes to debating some of these people who are deep believers, they don't have the integrity when you reveal to them what their information actually says. Instead, they go by the doctrines of what they taught, where they were taught, and what they feel. And
I guess my question to you would be, through your research, I'm sure that you've come upon research in your studies that made no sense, sorry, that has changed your mind about something, because once you find information that proves something else wrong, you go and you research that, correct?
yes.
I don't understand how we're not doing that anymore.
Oh, people are lazy as hell. But people have always been lazy. But I will submit that more and more people are doing research today because it's easier to access the information than it was like when I was growing up and I was researching things. You literally had to go to the library, and you had to get guidance from people. Today is a lot easier because you have worldwide access through the internet to be able to read PhD papers, read studies, to gain that knowledge, to see satellite images of places and all of that sort of thing. Uh, it's easier today, and I think that's why a lot more people are walking away from these religions, because they have access to information.
Do you think it's a lot more difficult for, say, this generation?
For this generation to what? To walk away from?
To get the information, because from what I've been seeing, especially on TikTok, a whole lot of these, I don't know, what are we in, Gen Alpha now?
I have no idea. They keep adding shit.
It's so hard to keep track of. But whatever generation it is, these children are not getting access to this information because the information is being pulled from them.
Actually, no. I think that they have more access to the information. I think the hard part is deciphering between bullshit information, and because now it's kind of like an overload of information. Like before I go live, I was just flipping through TikTok, and there was at least 12 different people talking, deconstructing Christianity, and so there's an ample amount of information out there. It's just a lot of there is some information that just steers people into the weird, no disrespect to the gentleman who was on here earlier, but him talking about some planetoid astrophysic thing that's supposed to come and mess everything up in 9 days. This was, I forgot that late night talk radio show when I was a kid, AM radio show. This was the conspiracy theories. There's so many conspiracy theories out there that sometimes people can't differentiate between actual scholastic information and the conspiracies. That's the difficulty. Because you can go in and you ask and you put a good question in, you're going to get good answers. Like if you were to put in, as I did Josephus write about the birth of Jesus, as the previous caller has suggested, and it comes up clearly saying no, right? But if I had just put, did Josephus talk about Jesus? It would have came up yes, but it was an interpolation and all that sort of thing. But most people will see the yes and then they're done. They won't even go deeper and see and ask the question, did Josephus talk about multiple Jesuses? His answer then is going to come up, yes, he talked about at least 3 different Jesuses, right? One was a high priest, another one had a high priest brother named James, and it has different Jesuses in there. So they have access, they just have to learn how to use that access better.
So they're not actually doing research, they're just researching enough to get the information they want.
Right, there you go, to fit their narrative. And that's what most Christians are doing. What most believers in anything is doing that. Instead of what?
I don't know if there's like any way that people can talk to them, because I know I've tried to talk to several Christians. They always try to convert me. It's really fun. But it's like there's a brick wall that's put up, and you're not getting through that brick wall.
Yeah, it's difficult. It's difficult. Some people, but you got to realize that there are. So every year, the number of people who fall into the I forgot the name of the category in the Pew study. shit. There was a Pew study that was done a couple years ago. It broke down like the people who believe, but there are 1.1 billion people who do not believe in any of the mainstream religions, and who the overwhelming majority of them are atheists or agnostic. It's like 1.1 billion of people who fit that category. Now, some of them do believe that there is a creator that are within that category, but that number constantly grows. There's more and more people who are walking away from those religions, right? So even like with Wiccan, Wiccan is not part of the 1.1 billion. They're part of they had another graph in there that showed others, and Wiccan and like folk religions and things of that nature are all categorized into that one, which was representing like 12, like I think 12% or something like that, or some number, some percentage. So they're walking away, and those numbers are growing every year. Is basically what I'm getting at.
Okay. I don't know. I really hope that we can, as a society, get past this kind of rhetoric so that we can actually progress, because I feel like this is pulling us further and further behind.
It has always.
It becomes mainstream.
It has always. I do think there will always be somebody believing in some religion, but we are becoming more and more of a secular world where people are walking away from these religions, which does allow for us to advance more in sociology and scientific exploration. Religion has always held back, even though there are many religious scientists throughout history. But now there is like only 3% of scientists are religious. And religion is not holding back because the level of theocracy has been thrown out the window. Like if we didn't have theocracy in the 1400s and all that sort of thing, then our progression scientifically and socially would have been way far beyond where we are today.
Agreed.
Yeah. Because I know Christians and Muslims like to jump on and point out that, oh, this person who developed this was a Christian, or John Dees was a Christian. But how much further would John Dees have went if he didn't have the threat of the church? You know, how far would Galileo and Copernicus, like Copernicus never published his works while he was alive because of his fear of the church. So if he didn't have a fear of the church and being called a heretic and being ostracized and physically punished, then his work could have inspired somebody before Galileo. And Galileo could have had a whole nother level to work with. Galileo then could have pushed it even further than that. You see what I'm saying?
It makes you wonder how many great minds never got to speak for fear of being religiously persecuted.
And that is the problem. But thankfully, like I said, we are more secular. The world is more secular now. It's becoming more and more secular, I should say. And we are seeing great advancements. If you look at the Norwegian countries, they are some of the most secular countries in the world. And then socially, they are some of the most advanced social countries in the world in their healthcare, their quality of life, their foods. That's like one of the best places to go and live, right? And there is the fact that they are a secular country is a big part of why they have advanced further in social lifestyle than most other countries like America, who are holding on to this religious belief.
No, I totally understand.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna go because I gotta go take care of something, but I really do appreciate talking to you, and hopefully we can move on as a nation from the insanity.
That would be nice. All right, appreciate you. All right, let me bring up this one. I really got to go, but I'm bringing one more person up. I'm going to bring up Kings, and I forgot the name of the other part. Fred, I don't know what you're using, but your thing keep coming up saying that. So I'm going to give Fred some credit. Fred was trying to come up, y'all, but for some reason, whatever phone he's using, is not working. It keeps saying he need to turn his microphone and turn on his camera. Now you don't have to turn your camera on, but it kept saying definitely microphone. So Fred, you need to fix your technological problems if you want to come up on here. So I will give you the credit that you tried. Now, of course, some people may say that you purposely made sure that you couldn't actually come up, but I'm not going to say that. But shit, it is 2:17. I got a 3 o'clock. What do you call them things? When you meet people online, whatever that thing, Zoom call. Even we use Zoom like it's a verb. But I got a 3 o'clock Zoom call, so I can't go 4 hours today. So these 3 hours and 5 minutes is all we getting out here today. As a reminder, I will be on the road tomorrow. I know I will not be able to do a live tomorrow. This is my family vacation that we use every year. There's gonna be about 60 of us, so I don't know if and when I will be able to do a live Friday or Saturday or Sunday. Definitely I'll be back on the road on Monday, so I won't be able to do a live on Monday. So if I'm not able to do a live, the next live will be next week Tuesday. But I'll try to do something on one of those days at least. Continue to support the channel by watching all the videos, sharing all the videos, like and share and subscribe on whatever platform that you're watching this on now, whether it's TikTok, YouTube, or Facebook. I want to thank everybody for supporting the channel. Those who do it through Cash App, I greatly appreciate it. I can tell you right now, any donations of Cash App that happens today or over the weekend, I'm gonna spend it on my wife while we're down at the family vacation. I can tell you that right now. Remember, we are having our meetup. If you want to meet with us, we're just having a meetup. Gonna have some fun. Gonna have a good time. I decided to do a video just expressing what we're going to be doing. October 31st through November 2nd. The link to that is in the description of the YouTube and Facebook video for this live. It'll be easier to find it on YouTube at Coach Renz 33. At Coach Renz 33. So I look forward to that. Thank you guys. I will enjoy this little vacation, even though we have too many goddamn small children in this family. But it's cool to see all my little nieces, nephews, cousins, and all that kind of stuff. So y'all have a great weekend, holiday weekend, and always remember that you have to free yourself to be yourself because your greatness is non-negotiable. Good journey, good vibrations. And I gotta try to eat something before I have this Zoom.